Hello, I am Marsh from StrataGames, and today we are playing some Mardu Af-Fling-ity, as I call it. It was just Mardu Affinity Fling, and then I realized I could smash them together, and you get it. So anyway, I wanted to play a Luxknight Breacher deck. Specifically, I had this idea a couple weeks ago, just haven't gotten around to playing it in any other fashion. But Glaze Fiend is one of my favorite cards. It's a card that's seen some minor play for a long time in Pauper, but it's never the best. We'll try to make it better here. But basically, Glaze Fiend is just a threat that gets really large when you play a bunch of artifacts. And Luxknight Breacher is also a creature that gets very large when you play a bunch of artifacts. Now, they have a bit of differences. Oh, wrong way. They have a bit of differences, which is that Breacher, you want to have all the artifacts down before you play it, and Glaze Fiend, you want to have them all down after you play it. But Glaze Fiend being a 2-drop, Luxknight being a 4-drop, it makes it not too hard to be able to get them in that order, I think. So that's what we're trying to do. The only white card that we're playing is the Breacher, because generally I just think this works pretty well as a Rakdos deck, and then we're just splashing the Breacher. But we are doing that with bridges. So we just have 7 of the white bridges, and then we also have Chromatic Star, which is just a nice one already with Glaze Fiend because it triggers it, and then it also just cycles into a new card right away. And with 3 colors, it helps our splash, so I think that seems pretty good. Of course, we're playing Black and Affinity, so we must be playing Refurbished Familiar. This card is too good to not play. It actually wasn't in my initial list, and I was like, what am I missing? And realized probably the most busted creature in the format. So we are playing that as well. And then I figured we might as well play Enforcers too. We could certainly play something else instead. We don't have to go 19 artifact lands. But we want as many artifact lands as possible for Glaze Fiend. So I think generally it and Mirror Enforcer fit pretty well in the same deck. This is a deck that I would probably play Frogmite in if there wasn't a basically strictly better Frogmite. Not strictly better because it costs a mana and Frogmite does not, so I won't say that, but a better Frogmite for sure. So these are our 4, or rather 16 total threats, but we're of course playing Fling. So I played a Luxknight Breacher Fling deck on the channel a couple weeks ago, playing Naya, and the big thing I wanted to do with that was I didn't want Fling to only be useful with Breacher, because then you have 2 or 3 Flings in your deck, you only have 4 cards that are useful, and they need to not die and all this stuff. But in this deck, we can also get a Glaze Fiend very, very large, and it's large just temporarily, so even more reason to want to fling it after you've gotten its use. And then since we have Enforcers, that's not a bad one to fling either. 4 damage can take out an opposing creature or can go straight to the face. We are a bit of a burn deck because, of course, we're artifacts, so we have Galvanic Blast. And we are also playing Lightning Bolts because we are kind of an aggro deck and we're playing red, so it might as well. So being able to hit them with 7 or 8 damage with these and then fling for 4 to 8 more damage can be pretty nice, I think. We have a couple Wedding Invitations. These are just nice because they're artifacts that cycle, so they sit on the field and can pump the Fiend, and then also later pump the Breacher, and they can also make either of those unblockable, which is very, very good. Even though we are kind of an aggro deck, Blood Fountain always has this kind of weird push and pull of it's 2 artifacts early, so it's really good aggression for your Mirror Enforcer and your Glaze Fiend, but it's kind of more of a late game card because you can't crack it till you have 4 mana, and you don't want to do that until you can replay the guys and all this stuff. But I think with Glaze Fiend, I think it's just too good to have a 1 mana spell that triggers Glaze Fiend twice, and obviously it also contributes to count to your Luxknight Breacher as well. We are an aggro deck, but we're playing a couple Cart Clan Shaman because it's a great card. And 2 of our 4 threats are flyers, so we don't have to worry about killing those. And then these 2 are both very large, so maybe they won't die to our own Cart Clan either. We do have a couple Toxin Analysis in here. Originally, I wasn't including them, but I figured, obviously, of course, they're good with Krark. But also, it's an instant speed artifact, which can be really nice for Glaze Fiend. And if we just have like an 8-power Glaze Fiend or Luxknight Breacher, a huge life gain swing can be really big against like a red Madness deck or something like that. So I think this one will be pretty decent. And then I have a 1 of Grim Bauble. This is probably just better as something else, to be honest. But I did want more artifacts, 1-drops, 8-ish artifacts that I could just play on turn 1 to help power out the Refurb, the Mirror Enforcer, or get the Glaze Fiend going. Then we have 19 lands, a little bit fewer than your Grixis Affinity and Esper Affinity lists and things like that, because we are not a mid-range control deck. We're much more of an aggro deck, and so we don't want to get too flooded. And I didn't want to have any untapped, or rather monocolor white lands like the Ancient Dens, because we're mostly red and black. So we have 4 Vault, 4 Great Furnace, and then we are playing 11 tap lands, which is a lot, especially for an aggro deck, but I didn't want to play Darksteel Citadel. I didn't really want to play Ancient Den. So and I wanted to have exclusively artifact lands for the Glaze Fiend. So that's what we're on. In our sideboard, we have, I just went with 3 of each of the cards that I thought would be good. 3 Duress, 3 Smash to Smithereens, 3 Red Elemental Blast, 3 End the Festivities, and 3 Nile Spellbombs. Of course, Fairy Macabre might be better for the Graveyard Hate, but this is an artifact, which I think goes into our theme a little too well with Glaze Fiend, that I just don't think the Fairy Macabre is going to be better here. Plus, ideally, if we play against Spy or something, we have enough removal that we can, and board wipes, that we can just wipe the whole board and don't have to worry as much about the graveyard. That's the plan anyway. So, let's take it for a league and see how we do. I've been trying to use a lot of these streams to play some more interesting brews and things like that. But I also definitely plan to do some streams of some of the more, the decks that I like to play a little bit more. Definitely going to play some Black Sack on stream probably next week. I was going to do it today, but honestly, I have here's a little teaser. There's a Black Sack video going up on Sunday already. And I'm probably putting this VOD out tomorrow on Saturday, so I thought that would just be a little too much too soon. So, yeah, so probably next week. But looking forward to doing that. And I've been trying to also play more than just affinity decks recently, but there were so many good Edge of Eternity's artifacts that it's just the main thing that has been popping into my mind. Hey dude, glad I finally caught a stream. This seems like a cool deck. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I'm glad you're able to make it. This hand is not amazing. Double Breacher's kind of rough. We have a turn 2 Glaze Fiend. Galvanic's nice. Star just cycles, so I think we're going to keep this one. We are on the draw, which in general is not great, but also maybe helps us find something a little better. Looks like we're against red, probably Red Rally with the Clockwork coming out. Get another bridge. We don't need white until turn 4, so I think I'll start with this one in case we top deck. I guess, since we don't have a refurb or anything in hand, it probably doesn't matter if we have double black right now, but in any case. Voldar and Epicure for the opponent. This is one where Glaze Fiend's going to be a little tough because they can just bolt it, which won't be great. So I might want to just wait to play it until later. I could just hold up Galvanic here for more damage, or rather to pick off a creature, because if they go like Bushwhacker or something, I'm going to want to have a blocker. And then next turn we'll have 4. We don't really have anything great on turn 3 either. I think we're just going to get greedy and play the Fiend. If it survives, maybe we can deal him some damage. Next turn we can deal him like 4. They don't have the greatest start, so maybe we can race. Or if it just eats a bolt, obviously that's 3 damage we don't have to deal with. Lava Dart is not what I wanted to see, though. Lava Dart and Percussionist in the same deck. I guess I've seen more Red Madness decks recently playing like Percussionist again. But in general, I think that's a little strange, because if you hit a Snacker off the Percussionist, it's kind of a waste. We could definitely use a Krark Clan Shaman. Ooh, there's our Bauble. Not bad here. It's an artifact that's going to help contribute to our Enforcer. And it picks off a guy. Do we just hold up a Galvanic? If they just attack with these two, am I going to want to spend it on a Percussionist? Not really. I think I'll play the Star. This lets me hold up Galvanic and play an Enforcer for 2 next turn, which seems reasonable. They're going to ditch a Snacker. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess this is just becoming the trend. I've seen it a little bit more the last like 3 or 4 days, is playing Percussionists and sometimes Tomb Raiders again in like a Madness deck. So they're swinging for 2. And Galvanic Blast, do they just have like another Blast and a Fire Blast for lethal? Or just a 3rd Galvanic? Oh, just a Lightning Bolt and they have a Lava Dart. Well, we were taken out from 12. That's kind of tough to deal with. They are artifacts with Galvanics and everything, so maybe Smash is good enough. And the Festivities with Clockwork, Epicure, Snacker seems okay. Spellbomb, of course. I talked about this in a previous video, but Red Madness has gotten really difficult to play against because you have to side so many cards. Because you need your single target removal, against Gutter Snipes and Kessig Flame Breathers, but you also need your life gain because it's a burn deck, but you also need Graveyard Hate because of Sneaky Snackers. But now playing Percussionist 2, you also still need board clear, like End the Festivities. Or just, you know, blockers for them. But it's getting pretty difficult. And to be honest, I generally like Duresses against like a Fire Blast deck because they'll hold a Fire Blast forever. And then, you know, you can take it out before they can, and you can take their draw 2s. Hey Marsh, good luck on the league. Thanks for that basic primer vid on Black Sack the other day. No problem. I hope people enjoyed it. I realized that it's something I probably should have made a couple of months ago because, you know, a lot of people have made deck tech videos about various decks in the format, and I think there are a lot of really good ones for your staples, your mono blue terrors, and things like that. But obviously Black Sack being a newer deck and me being one of the people who popularized it, I figured I might as well make that video. So hope it was helpful for even people who have played the deck a lot. Ideally, some fundamentals and stuff and new lists and stuff can be interesting, but definitely hope it's helpful for newer people to the deck. I don't think we're going to do End the Festivities just for the Clockworks. We didn't see Gutter Snipe or Kessig, but I'm sure they still have them. I don't know if Smash is worth it because they're just going to have Great Furnace, Clockwork, Voldarn Epicure, Blood, and Synth, probably. They do have Lava Dart. I guess they probably cut Faithless Looting. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out. There's like since Kuldotha was banned, Red fractured into like 3 or 4 different decks. The big 2 being Red Rally and Red Madness. But now with this like deck kind of in between, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on. I think Toxin's obviously good. I don't know. I think on the play, we don't need anything. I don't know if our deck's great against them, but like nothing. Everything feels just like okay. Dressing a draw 2 is nice, but if we just hit a lightning bolt, it's like kind of whatever. 3 lands, Toxin's decent. This dies to a Lava Dart, which is really unfortunate. Fling's not really great in this matchup, but we can just get like a decent early Mirror Enforcer maybe. I really hate sending back a hand with perfect mana, or at least all 3 of our colors and 3 lands is just tough to get rid of. Another Glaze Fiend. Well, perfect. We can play them both, and they'll both die to a single Lava Dart. And hopefully it at least eats a Lightning Bolt, but we'll see if we're that lucky. There's the Bolt. They on just 1 land. Looks that way. Okay. I could play another Glaze Fiend, and I can hold up Toxin to pump it, which is going to work against a Lava Dart. It's not going to work against another Bolt. But it could also just mean we get an Enforcer down. They also don't have much going on, so if they have to keep spending their turns bolting my cards, and then I get an Enforcer down, maybe it's not the worst. I will not be blocking. And they're just going to pass. Okay. Well, I'll play a Furnace to try to pump it. That works. Star. Okay. We're getting somewhere, maybe. So we can play an Enforcer for 1. I guess I could have gone Toxin on it first, and then I could fling this turn. I don't... maybe I do want to fling. Yeah, if I just cast Toxin, then I could hit for 8 and flung for 8. Yeah, that was a mistake. Because I definitely still want to use Toxin, right? Gain 8 is pretty nice. But then we don't have fling. Yeah. I should have done it first because we would have had 7 Affinity for the Enforcer and then still been able to fling. This is still a pretty good exchange, but it could be better. They're just going to pass, it looks like. Okay. Discard a Fiery Temper to hand size. Very nice. Take out the Glaze Fiend, I assume. Yeah, see, they couldn't have taken out the Enforcer with that, and we could have him at 4 right now. That's okay. Let's crack a clue. Blood Fountain. Kind of nice. I'll swing. They're definitely going to jump to try to hit a land. They hit a mountain. I think we just cycle through this in case we can find another threat that we can play right away. And if not, we'll just play a Blood Fountain. Hold up Fling in case they have a way to remove this. And then we can Blood Fountain both our guys back. Grab the prize. That does not make a blocker. So we just need to find 4 damage from a Galvanic or something. Unless they have a Fire Blast here for the Enforcer, which would be pretty funny. I think that would be okay too. But yeah, since we just need to dig for a Galvanic, I think we're just going to ditch this land. Another Fiend. And they have to discard again. Demand answers. There's the Galvanic Blast. Alright. We are going to get in for lethal then. Blast and Fling. Definitely could have gotten that a little earlier if we just played a little slower and a little better. Okay, so we're on the draw. I kind of like duress on the draw because we can sometimes stop a turn 2 snacker. Same with the spell bomb, but again, these also can take like a fire blast or something. Krarks. All we've seen so far are epicures and percussionists and snackers as far as creatures, so I'm not loving the Krarks, but we'll keep the toxins for just life gain. And I'm not sure the invitation is as necessary. They have some chump blockers, but I think it'll be okay. Alright, 4 lands is a lot, but we can kill the first creature. We get a big breacher on turn 4, which is not the best thing ever. They do have Tomb Raiders, okay. At least they called us crazy for this Grim Bauble. Oh, and a Bolt's not bad either, but can't play that right now. We're just going to take this guy out. Next turn, I guess we get down Bridge and Blood Fountain. Be better if we draw like a refurb or something. And I hope they don't destroy an artifact here. They're just passing, okay. Well, we will just play these. I can't hold up Lightning Bolt, and with the Breacher, I just want to put our artifacts on the field quick. If we can get Breacher down, it's going to be very hard for them to kill it, and then if we can Toxin Analysis it, currently we're going to be gaining 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish. That's pretty good. Demand Answers of Furnace is totally fine. So they might be a little flooded. Now there's the prize on the Snacker. Another Blood Fountain. Okay, well, we're just playing that, holding up Bolt, and that'll make like 11. Yeah, an 11/11 Breacher, which can gain lifelink. I think we will probably Bolt this Snacker at the end step. I don't want it to come back. Well, if they have mana up, they could Demand Answers, so I might not do it then. But I don't want it to come back on this turn because they could have a blocker for it next turn with the Breacher. I'd be fine if they bring it back the following turn, and then it's tapped, and then we can get in for at least 1 attack. Percussionist. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's going to block the Breacher. Kind of doesn't look like they have to have Faithless Looting, or maybe they just haven't played a land, and then they grab the prize. I could Bolt now. They're going to have kind of a blocker either way at this point. Sure, we'll just do it now. On the off chance that they don't have a land or a way to bring it back, we kind of save that extra 2 life. And if they do, it's still the same amount as if they just bring it back the next turn. But yeah, it's not coming back. Nice. Galvanic is not bad. That could clear a blocker. Well, we are playing an 11/11 Luxknight Breacher. Bam. That's going to be hard for them to deal with. And then Toxin on this bad boy is going to be very good. They bolt us down to 12. And, I mean, they could just kill us here. They were able to get us from 12 before. But I think we've done what we can to survive. No Great Furnace means they can't triple Galvanic unless they first play like another artifact. My concern if they have a blocker is that they can chump, and if I go for a Toxin, they can bolt their own Percussionist, so I don't gain the life. So if they have any mana up, I'll probably Galvanic their Percussionist to make sure that doesn't happen. And it looks like they're just leaving all their mana up. So I'm going to assume I'm not dead here. Refurb is not bad. Yeah, I think we want to take this out so that we guarantee gain 11 life, and then it's going to be very hard for them to come back from that. So we'll take this guy out. Looks a little silly using a 4 damage spell on a chump blocker, but we get in for not only 11, but we also gain life. Demand Answers here, looks like. Okay, that's fine too. A little awkward because they get that value. Fiery Temper and Exile. I like that. Yeah, that's another card that doesn't work. Doesn't synergize perfectly with the Clockwork. Attack here. Toxin Analysis. And we will gain 11. And we will Refurbished Familiar them. Make them discard a card. And they do have a Fiery Temper. That's why I did that second main. Not that it should be super relevant. And yeah, they just shoot the Refurbished Familiar. They have the Melded Moxite. I have seen people playing this recently, which I guess is the reason, kind of the cohesion, bringing together the Snacker and the Fiery Temper, because they're discarding and drawing 2. But also it's an artifact, so it's good with Galvanic, which I guess makes sense. If they don't have a blocker here, how are they going to stop this? Mirror Enforcer. Well, I'm going to attack for 11 and see what they got. Nothing. Nice. It worked. It worked pretty well. Toxin analysis on the Breacher was absolutely very sweet there. Another match here. We can do Bridge, turn 2, Invitation, turn 3, not quite the Enforcer, but looks pretty good. We have mana, we have all of our colors with the star, and we have a Fling. Seems reasonable. Alright, get the Bridge down and pass. We're against blue something. Another Fling, not what we want to see. Well, I'm just going to do the Wedding Invitation. It's not the worst thing ever if it gets Spell Pierced here, but we kind of need to get our affinity count going. Humbling Elder, okay. And I was going to say if we're against High Tide, we just really need to get the Enforcer down quick. If we're against Fairies, which is obviously what we are against, we also want to get the Enforcer down quickly. They swing, and they just have a Ninja. Man, if one of these was a Bolt, if we top deck a Bolt, or a Grim Bauble actually would be pretty good. That'd be very nice. Okay, Bolt is not bad. We have 4, 5. I guess I could just get down Enforcer this turn and the Star. But then if they have a Snap, they get in with the Ninja. That feels bad. And by doing this, I also get to play my Bridge. So I think this is probably better. I do not want that Ninja to hit again, obviously. And we know they have a Humbling Elder. We can reasonably assume they have a Spell Stutter. Ooh. 1 artifact off. I can't play both of these, which is unfortunate. So I guess we just... I mean, they can obviously just counterspell. But if they don't, we're in a good spot, and we just play the one that uses all our mana. Whereas next turn we could play Enforcer and something else. They do have the counterspell and the Elder. I thought about only putting in 2 Flings, because you really only want to draw 1. But I did want to actually see them. But it's possible that just 1 would have been better. They have another Ninja of the Deep Hours. Okay. Krark's not bad. It does get Spell Stuttered. So we're going to lead on this. And if this gets counterspelled, I'll probably play the Krark. But if not, I think we'll leave it. If they try to snap this, I might just fling it at the Ninja. There's the Elder. If they bind the monster, I will certainly be flinging it, since it will be irrelevant anyway. Scry 2 to the top. Unable to Scream. Well, it's going to make it lose its power. So I guess they could just Spell Stutter here, but I might as well. Although I could Chomp, but that doesn't seem great. Plus we have double Fling. Plus if this taps him out, maybe we get down Krark and wipe these 2 at least. Yeah, we will Fling at the Ninja. They have a Dispel. Okay. Scry 2 to the top, and they're going to be back to 4 cards. Oh, they have another Ninja. Jeez. I mean, Krark is good. If I get a red source here, and they have another one in mind, I could, like Krark for 2, and then Fling at the Fairy Seer, wipe their whole board. I could still do that. I would just have to use Chromatic Star for red, and then I'd have to sack a land. Because I'm sacking this Invitation. I guess that's fine. We gotta stop them a little bit here. Maybe we draw something as well, so we'll sack that. Blood Fountain. Okay, there we go. So I don't have to sack a land now. I do have to play the Fountain before the Fiend, which is kind of awkward, but I think that's fine. So we play Krark, we play Blood Fountain, and we hold control. Sack 2 artifacts. Bet you don't see this coming. Fling my Krark at your Fairy Seer. Boom. Expert level plays. Now they have 5 cards in hand, we have 1, so it's going to be tough, but Bridge, we got to play that. I think I'm just cracking the Blood Fountain here. I don't want to play into a Spell Stutter Sprite or whatever. Obviously they would need a second Fairy, but even a counterspell, I also just want to use up 4 mana here. They have a Gale Blade, and of course the Humbling Elder. And a Spell Stutter Sprite. I guess they're just going aggro, which might actually work out for us. Then again, if they just have like 2 ninjas here, gonna be rough still. Swing for 3. No ninjas is good. Krark, they only have 1 guy on the field, on the board. What am I saying? On the ground. That's the word. So I'm just gonna go for the Breacher and the Enforcer. Galvanic Blast. Okay. So I could play a Fiend, which blocks but doesn't do much else. Then I could play an Enforcer, and then I also have a Galvanic. It's either that or I could just Breacher and then Galvanic, and that's not great. I'm kind of fine if this gets Spell Stuttered. And if it does not, here's an Enforcer. That didn't get countered either, which is nice. Hold up Galvanic Blast. Snare Master Sprite. That is annoying. But it's not the end of the world, I suppose. Tap down the Enforcer. Let's see. If I don't block and they have a Ninja, they'll pick up the Spell Stutter, and then I can't Galvanic Blast. So I might as well just Galvanic Blast the Spell Stutter now. If they have another Spell Stutter, so be it. And I don't think I'm blocking yet. They do have the Ninja for the Elder. Breacher can block that at least. Rustvale Bridge. Well, we'll play Breacher. Oh, I should have played the Bridge first. I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. It does, because this would be a 10-10. Am I blocking with this? No. Maybe. I guess if they have another way to tap this down, I would like to block the Ninja on it. And the 2 damage isn't super relevant. Yeah, I guess I'll pass with no attacks. Not having the Breacher be a 10-10 could be problematic, though, because that could be a 2-turn clock. Oh, they have a Snap. Well, they're helping me correct my mistake. Now I can make it a 10-10. So that's very kind of them. Well, good thing I didn't attack with the Glaze Fiend. We will chump the Ninja. Go to 3. Well, I guess the only way I survive is by not attacking. Also by them not having a counterspell or any instant speed creature. Alright. I can block the Ninja, I take 3, and I will die. Kind of close to stabilizing, I think, but we get in the Festivities and Duress. Oh, and Red Elemental Blast. Okay, in that case, maybe Duress we don't need. I definitely like these better. Fling doesn't feel amazing. Just having 2 is bad, obviously, but also just against counterspells, it's not great. Wedding Invitation isn't as necessary because all their creatures are really good, and so if they chump with them, it's not a big deal. Of course, we want all the removal. Krark is never amazing in this matchup, and Toxin isn't super necessary. Like, it would be nice there at the end if we were able to stick a Luxknight Breacher and gain a bunch of life, but we weren't, so it wouldn't have mattered. And I think I like everything else better. I definitely don't want to get rid of any of our removal. Blood Fountain can be good late game. I do want some Flings and Invitations, so yeah. Alright, on the play here. Sand looks pretty good. We will definitely keep this. We can get a turn 2 Familiar. We could take out their first. If they play something on turn 1, we'll probably just bobble it and hold up a Red Blast. Then we have a Flyer, then we have an Enforcer. And we are Mardu, but the white is only necessary for 4 cards in our deck, and not until turn 4. So, like, if we're going to be missing a color, obviously, white is the one that I want it to be. They have a Snare Master. And that one they don't get any value for, so definitely they're just doing it for a better Spell Stutter or Ninja. So we will definitely kill that and hold up a Blast and a Bolt. And they're going to pass here. Another Enforcer's pretty good. Refurb. And they have an Annul. Counterspell. I think we would like this. It's a 2-for-1. It's a flying blocker. And I wasn't going to play an Enforcer this turn anyway, because we want to have that interaction. But next turn I could play 2 Enforcers. Although I'd love an artifact to land here, like a white bridge, to play them both for free. Ooh, that's almost better. Let's play that. That one they have a Sabotage for. Okay. Can't do anything about that. If it did resolve, we could play 2 Enforcers and hold up Bolt. As is, though. I think we're just holding up the Bolt. That's playing pretty scared. They could flash in an Ilvoy and then get a Ninja. They could have another Steel Sabotage. Actually, I think I like getting down an Enforcer. If they have like a Brine Barrel, this blocks. If they have a Steel Sabotage, so be it. We have another one coming. If they have an Ilvoy, they're going to get in regardless. Well, not if I bolt it, but they just play a Hacker. Great sign. Always what you want your opponent to do. And another Enforcer is pretty nice. Let's swing for 6 and drop the 2 Enforcers. 6, right? Shouldn't it only cost 1? Okay. Why was it trying to make me pay 2 for that? Alright. We got that game. Very nice. Very quick. We'll be on the draw. I mean, honestly, Glaze Fiends are not amazing here. Just because they have no power a lot of the time. They don't block well. They get blocked pretty easily. Honestly, especially on the draw, maybe I'll just swap 3 of them for Duresses. These are all the threats we need as long as we can just, like, deal with their other creatures. Oof. See, now we're missing black. If this was a Dark Steel, not Dark Steel, Dark Moss, I'm blanking. The red-black one. Then I could get a Refurb down. I do have double Galvanic, which is not bad. We're on the draw. Sure. It's not an amazing hand. I feel like I've been burned too many times by not keeping a hand like this, mulliganing, and then suddenly I see like the 2 next worst hands I've ever seen, and then I go down to 4 suddenly from like an okay 7, and I don't really want that. Plus, well, that's pretty good. Plus they're a creature deck, and we have a bunch of creature removal, so it seems okay. They do scry 1 at the top. Just pass. There's the vault. I actually don't want to just run out the familiar here, though. If they flash in any creature, I'd like to be able to blast it, and then next turn I can play the refurb for 1 mana. Yeah, there's a spell stutter. We're going to shoot that. And they got a miscreant. Just a miscreant, okay. Ooh, yeah, see, this is turning out perfectly. We have the refurb for 1 now. We can have a breacher on turn 4. This could eat a counterspell, but they can't do the spell stutter on it. A null, okay. Well, they can't spell stutter now, so I think I'll get rid of this guy. Seen that a lot in my my recent videos, to be honest. Yeah, like, honestly, it may be some recency bias. Whew, them getting that right after is beautiful for us. But yeah, it's been happening so much where it's like, it's kind of an okay 7, but I try to be a disciplined player and do the right thing and not keep that hand, and then I get punished with 2 other terrible hands. Okay, if they have a spell stutter, they eat this blood fountain, which I don't love. I kind of want to get it down before the breacher, though. I bet, based on how they've been playing, I feel like they have at least 1 ninja in hand. They've been just kind of desperate to get it going, like flashing in the spell stutter. So I don't know if they're going to have a counterspell for this. And if they do, I can still get the enforcer down. It's not the end of the world. But I'm banking on one of their cards being, being a ninja. Well, still not terrible. They have 1 card in hand, and next turn we have a 7/7, so unless it's just a counterspell, they're going to be in a rough spot. They do have a ninja, so that read was correct. Spell stutter back in hand. And the festivities is going to be good later. If I attack for 4 and they get like a snap, then this is not going to be great, because they draw another. Well, we're going to play this first, just in case they're playing like Force Spike or something weird. They're not. I think we play it safe. I don't think we attack for 4. If they were lower, maybe. But we have a 7/7 we can start attacking with. And I don't want to just let this ninja go wild. Miscreant getting in. And now if we start attacking, you know, this is a 2-turn clock, so maybe it's worth it to trade off for these. They have a spell stutter in hand. Yeah, I think if we're attacking with both, just for the speed, and I think I might as well. They are gonna Echoing Truth. Ooh, even better than a snap for us. That's fine. So I could end the festivities, they spell stutter, and then I shoot the ninja. That takes care of 1 problem. Or I could just play a breacher, which if they don't have another bounce spell or counter spell is decent. I don't know. We'll do this. Feels like they probably have the counter spell. Yeah. So maybe I should have gone the other route, since this lets the ninja get in now. Yeah, that could have been a mistake. And they top deck a Moon Circuit Hacker? Well, that's just unfortunate. Yeah, brutal. Now they have a Fairy Seer. Well, I guess we Galvanic the Ninja the Deep Hours to try to bait the Spell Stutter, and then we can end the festivities. And then still have a Mirror Enforcer for this. And if that just goes through, that's fine. Yeah, there's the Spell Stutter. Wipe most of their board. And we're not going to trade 4 for 2 and a card. Just hope they don't have anything, but they did do top 2. So I feel like they are going to have Bounce Spell, yeah. I mean, that basically just cycles and draws them 2. Or not draws them 2. It draws them a card, but they spent a card to do it. But it sets back our mana, our aggression, and it lets them get in for 2. Well, if we're just drawing lands, it's not going to be great. Play the Enforcer. Bluff that we have something here, since the extra mana doesn't matter. They have another Steel Sabotage. Well, now we're not in a great spot. I think we definitely made a mistake going for the Luxknight Breacher after they bounced it, because it was kind of obvious they probably had a counterspell for it. And if we'd taken out the ninja then, maybe it would have been okay. If we keep drawing lands, I mean, we're not going to be able to do anything regardless. And since we're an aggro deck, we don't have a lot of ways to really come back from this. Ooh, and they have a Miscreant. Brutal right now. Well, I guess if we get a Blood Fountain that resolves, we could be okay. Maybe. Chromatic Star. Well, I don't even think that's going to resolve, but it also just cycles. Yep. Alright. It was kind of close, but fairies definitely destroyed us there. Alright, we have double Glaze Fiend with a Wedding Invitation. Sure, we'll give it a try. Could be pretty rough, but if we find red with the Fling and the bolts, maybe we're okay. Opponent down to 5. That helps. Alright, lead on a vault, because that's our only option. Ooh, looks like maybe, is it control? Well, if they don't have the best start with a mold of 5, then double Glaze Fiend early could really get them. Brainstorm. Could also be like High Tide, theoretically. But the snow lands makes me think Scred. Land. Not a land. Well, Glaze Fiend just eats a counterspell, but it's either that or Invitation, and that at least draws us a card to try to hit a land drop. So we'll hit him for 0. Ponder. Definitely looks like Is It to me with the counterspell main deck. There's Goldmire Bridge, which is, you know, not as good as a red land here, but we'll play an Invitation, see if they want to counter that. They got the Spell Pierce for it. We will pump up a little bit, but not as much as we were hoping. They are only at 3 cards, which is nice, but if they land a Terror here or something, it's going to be tough to deal with already. They're just passing, though. Refurb's nice, if it doesn't need a counterspell. There it is. We're just going to Toxin to try to cycle this Clue, I think. And I guess it gets us in for 2. They pass. We have a Vault and then a Breacher. Although, will they have another counterspell is the question. We've already seen 2, and it has to be pretty much a hard counterspell, so we'll give it a try. Lose focus. Okay, fair enough. Breacher would have been good there. Brainstorm. Yeah, I mean, they got the all... They did mulligan to 5, but they got the all counter hand. Pretty nice. Star is decent. Triggers this and lets us cycle for red. Although I don't know if I want to waste it right now. I think we'll just crack this in case we get a land or something. Another Fiend. Well, I guess if I had cracked that first, which I probably should have anyway, I could maybe get another Fiend down right away. Sack the landscape. There's the red. And some more. Murmuring Mystic. Okay. Well, if we had another Glaze Fiend down, we could maybe do something here. Fling is not great. Let's see if we play a Glaze Fiend. This gets pumped. Cycle this for red. Bolt doesn't really matter unless we get 2 bolts, but then that doesn't matter. And I guess if I get a land, I could fling for 4. That's not going to matter. Doesn't really matter what we draw. We can't kill this, I don't think, at all. But it could still get us more damage. No, I guess we might want to do that next turn. Alright, we're going to save it. Just attack for 2. I mean, if these just get picked off, we're not in a great spot. Another Mystic. Now just a single bolt is like pretty much game ending. Wedding Invitation. I guess we'll play that. See if they want to shoot one of these in response. Either a bolt or a Scred can already kill them, even if this trigger goes off though, so... Yeah, but just in case we have like an instant speed one. Torch the Tower. Okay. So that's gone. Wedding Invitation draws us a card. Krark Clan Shaman. If we could find Death Touch, we could get that down and wipe the 2 Mystics. If we top deck, we only have 1 red. We kind of need to find more lands anyway. Well, I think we're going to crack it. Another Star. I guess I could just wipe the Mystics by sacrificing like all our lands. Well, we'll play a Star. Pump this again. I could play this. Sack 5. Well, here's a Krark. Sack 5. I have 1 land left. Double Mystic's going to overrun us regardless. I guess my only question is, do I want to sacrifice the Glaze Fiend? I think I probably do. I think I just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep 2 lands. I think that seems reasonable. Doesn't really matter what I draw here. So I'm not going to wait for it or anything. Blood Fountain. I mean, this is not a great spot to be in by any means, but double Mystic is going to kill us if they stay on the field, so I think we have to do what we have to do. Like, this turns into double birds. Every spell is a Midnight Haunting plus. Seems good. Now a Terror. Attack for 1. We do find red. See if this eats a counterspell. It does. Not great. Obviously getting back a couple refurbs would have been nice there. We're just dead in a couple turns here. Regardless, they shuffle. Didn't like what they saw. There's another Blood Fountain. All right. Ditch a Fling in case we can find the land. Another Krark. I mean, that chumps. Maybe it finds Death Touch eventually. Bolting this doesn't really matter at this point. I think we just bolt them. I don't want to put the Krark down in case they have a removal spell, because then I could, if I find Death Touch, I could still maybe survive. So I want to have those on the same turn. But also we potentially could like burn them out, so I think I'm just bolting their face here. Okay, well, now it's pretty much Death Touch or bust. But we're just going to bolt them. Great Furnace. So I have 4 mana for Blood Fountain, but then I can't actually play anything, so I have to just play the Krark. And if that... I can sacrifice 5 artifacts to wipe the board, and I can fling this guy at the bird. Like, if they bolt this to go for lethal, I guess I will. Technically keeps us alive. I could just chump. But then I'm dead next turn. Like, even if I draw... I could still shoot this. I go to 4, but then even if I draw a land, I can't do anything. Alright. Well, we're going to sacrifice 5 artifacts, I suppose. Play to our outs. And this bird could kill us, so I'll fling at the bird. I mean, our outs now are, like, draw a couple lands and then some creatures, and they draw lands the next 7 turns in a row, I think. Ooh, that's a nice start. Gotta head out. Good luck. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. They brainstorm. I guess we did use a toxin analysis early, just to cycle. Yeah, so we only had 1 toxin to find. Alright, there's a Crimson Fleet Commodore. I think that's gonna be the end of it. It's not only a lethal attacker in 2 turns. If we got a Grim Bauble, it'd be really funny. But the Monarch obviously is going to bury us with no lands here. Alright, we get Duresses and Blasts. They are a terror deck, but they're a control terror deck as opposed to like an aggro terror deck, so I think Spellbomb's not where we want to be. Bolts are less relevant, although Bauble's even less relevant than that. So maybe 1 Spellbomb is fine. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Alright, on the play. I mean, we got the mana. We have a Krark, which is, I mean, not an amazing card against them, as we saw. It was decent, but it made us lose all our board. We also have a turn 2 Refurb, or Glaze Fiend, rather. Yeah, we're going to do that. We could definitely catch an Annul or a Sabotage, but what are you going to do about that? Love a Glaze Fiend? I mean, who doesn't? I've been wanting to play this for a while. We get to bridge and then refurb. We do get eaten by a lose focus, but what are you going to do about that? Play this guy. Okay, there's the Annul. They just didn't care about the Fiend because they can counter everything else. That's fair. It's currently dealing 2 damage, which is not great. Swing for 2, and I mean, I have the combo, so part of me wants to run out the Krark because we have the mana and it's a little bit of aggression, but we saw what happens last time when our Krark is not paired with the Toxin, and just putting it on the field, it leaves it susceptible to removal, so I think we'll just wait. Torch the tower. So rude. They got Counterspell mana up, so I'm probably not casting anything at all, but we'll see. Spellbomb. Yeah, I'm not too worried about a Terror coming out in the next couple of turns, so I'll wait to put that down on the same turn as something else, or until they're proactive with something. I guess if they just played like a, what's it called? A Monarch here, it'd be kind of annoying, but what are you going to do? Ooh, there's a Refurb. I'd prefer that resolves, so I guess I'll go Spellbomb now. If they want to counter it, then maybe I get Refurb through. Yeah, they just let that go. If they want to spend like 4 mana on a Terror, I'm fine with that. Cycle another Lorien for a Fjord. Galvanic. 4. Alright, we'll pass one more turn, try to do stuff on the next turn, probably crack the Spellbomb at the end step here, so we can hopefully deploy like a couple threats at the same time. There's a Terror. Fair enough. We can hold back the other terrors, plus they are holding up Counterspell here. But yeah, we can Krark Toxin if we really want to wipe that away. Or we could just blast it. Yeah, let's just refurb. If they counter, I might just red blast that, but they're fine with the first one. What about the second one? Fine with that too. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just pass then. End step, they torch the tower. If they have another Spell Pierce, red blasting the terror now is not gonna work. But if they just have a counter spell, it does. So I think we go for it. I guess a Dispel would catch us too. A Blue Blast, any of that. Okay. Well, they're at one card in hand, so maybe we can just like Krark Toxin to get rid of the terror. Hilarion Revealed. Well, the restock right away is not my favorite thing. But I do think we'll just wipe this away. I'm going to do it with this star, though, because we'll draw a card off of it. Shoot that for a damage. Attack for 2. Now, if they get a Mystic, you know, it's pretty annoying. But that's how it goes. There's the Mystic. Blood Fountain. Well, we're going to attack first, so we can maybe get in for 2 before they make a bird, or they're just going to shoot it, and that doesn't matter either way. Oh, they have a Brainstorm. Fair enough. Okay. I could Galvanic the Bird Illusion, but I think we're probably saving this for the Mystic. So I think this is fine. Play a Blood Fountain. And I could just rebuy 2 Familiars. I can only play 1 this turn. Plus the Familiars just died to the Mystic, so I think we get back a Krark. And I don't think I'm playing Krark this turn, because I don't think I want to sack 5 artifacts to it. If I can, I'd like to blast and then Krark for 1 here. That would be the goal. We have another Brainstorm. Tough. Alright, they swing for 1. We get a Luxknight Breacher. I mean, that's pretty good. Although, if they still have the Mystic, then it doesn't really matter, because they can just chump it. But they know we have the Krark. So even if I play the Breacher first, I guess we just play the Shaman. They're fine with that. Well, I'll play this Breacher too. That one they're going to counter. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I sacrifice 5 artifacts. We still have 3. We kill 1 Mystic, and then they probably just like put down another or something. Mystic is a real pain, isn't it? I guess I sack them in their upkeep. I could just do 1, but then Galvanic. Yeah, I could see if the Galvanic resolves, and if not, I could sack more. Then our top decks are better, I guess. We'll try that. Problem is this is using 2 of our cards, whereas if we just let the... If we just did the Krark, then we'd still have a Galvanic, so if we draw a Lightning Bolt, I could kill the next one. Because, yeah, exactly what I anticipated. And a Terror. Swing for 2, and we draw a land. We are not going to be able to come back from this, unfortunately. So, definitely the hard control decks feels like a tough matchup. How's it feeling so far? It's feeling okay. I think it's the best thing to be doing with artifacts in the format is mid-range draw a million cards. So the fact that if we run out of gas, we kind of just peter out and we don't really have any good draws is kind of tough. We were able to get there with Breacher, Toxin Analysis to gain 11, which was pretty sweet. I don't know. It feels like we should be, with 3 Flings and 8 Bolt and Blast effects, feels like we should be getting a few more just burn wins. We have not really so far. And of course, I love Glaze Fiend. Who does not, as I said? But I think there's a reason that it does not see a lot of play, which is that it just does nothing if you don't have the right cards on the field, or rather in hand. But against Jund, a turn 2 Glaze Fiend could be pretty nice here, especially followed up by 2 refurbs. So I think Glaze Fiend in general is just this might be a weird comparison, but it's kind of like a Dark Ritual in like a, you know, a Black Sack deck or something, where it's like, it can make it so you have an incredible opener, or it can just be an absolutely dead card and can kind of like ruin the rest of your deck. Well, another Fiend. We're definitely just going to play another one of them then. So like this is an incredible opener that we've not gotten yet. Ideally, we top deck like a Blood Fountain or something, so these are both 6 power again next turn. This could be like a turn 4 win here, potentially. But, you know, 1 Chrysalis stops us here. High variance card, exactly, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And high variance cards can be fun for, you know, some decks, but generally I like decks that are a little more consistent. But it's still fun to play every once in a while. And I mean, here it's looking incredible. It looks like we're going to just stomp them. They have a Spell Bomb, they have a Lembas, they do have a refurb of their own. But we get to play a refurb, hit in for at least 6. I think we're keeping the Fling, and we're just trying to go in the skies with these guys. Drossforge Bridge is nice. That pumps, as does the Familiar. They discard a card. They're going to block, but if they didn't block, we have lethal here with the Fling. But I assume they will trade with the Familiar, if not block the Fiend. So they're at 6. Do I want to just Fling? They go to 2, which is lethal to 1 Familiar or 1 Glaze Fiend trigger, except they have a Lembas. It's really close, but I think we're going to save it. If they didn't have the Lembas, I would probably go for it. But I think putting them to 2 and then they go back to up to 5, maybe they also get a Chrysalis down. Then we wasted our Fling and our creature for not a lot of payoff. Whereas if they do stabilize, maybe we just find a Luxknight Breacher. Even if they have a million blockers, we can just fling that at them, and that'll be the game. Although they just have Lembas here, it looks like. So Blood Fountain, a Bolt. Okay. Well, if they don't crack Lembas in response here, then we can get them if they tap out at the end step. Like if they crack it now, then I can Fling and Bolt them. They cast down. Yep, so we're going to Fling the Refurbished Familiar for 2 damage, and then we're going to Bolt them to finish them off. Nice. See, that was Glaze Fiend's doing work. That was a great opener. Duress is good because they have a lot of removal and 2-drops and things they're reliant on. Cleansing Wildfire, Echo Wellspring, Cast Down, Fanatical Offering. Spell Bomb is only for the late game. We're trying not to go there. Smash is not amazing. If it was Cast of the Fire, I'd bring it in, of course, because of their lands. But if it's Smash, it doesn't hit most of their lands. So then we're just looking at like Blood Fountain, Refurb, Spell Bomb. That's not even going to deal them damage. I don't care about that. Wellspring when they're tapped out. None of that feels great to me. And I think we're taking out the Krarks and the Toxin. I guess life gain from Toxin isn't super relevant. It can pump the Fiend, though. Plus Death Touch for a Chrysalis isn't bad. Grim Bauble's not amazing here either. Actually, maybe we just take that out. I think that's probably decent. It's always a toss-up when deck building an aggressive red deck if you want Smash or Cast of the Fire. Smash is more aggressive, but obviously can't take bridges. And so I generally like Smash still because the 3 damage is very relevant, but there's obviously a downside. They mulligan to 5, and we have an okay hand. Not amazing, but we have an early Enforcer. Actually, this is going to be a turn 3 Enforcer. That's pretty good. And they're on the mull to 5. Bolt's not bad either. I wanted to lead on Vaults so that I can get the Fountain down, but if they do blow up our Vaults, like if they just have Cast into the fire, then no black mana is actually going to be kind of a pain, but they just Cleansing. Okay. Galvanic. I mean, honestly, with this hand, the burn win is looking pretty good. Plus Refurb taking one of their cards is nice. We're 1 artifact off of the Enforcer, unfortunately, for the turn 2, but turn 3 with 7 damage up is pretty nice. Ooh, they have a Refurb. I guess I don't need this Great Furnace. Makes Blood Fountain worse, but we can still play the Enforcer for 1. We can Bolt something. I think we were just ditching that. Wedding Invitation's not bad. Do I want to trade this? They could have a Chrysalis, in which case trading is not great. I'd prefer to have the... Or rather, trading is fine, because I'd rather have the burn in hand. Yeah, I think... Well, we're going to Wedding Invitation first. I'm not going to Bolt this. That's nice. Double Enforcer. Yeah, I think we'll make the trade. if they want to. So we have 7 damage in hand, but a Wedding Invitation on the field is another 4 damage, so we have 11 at them. So if we can get them to 11, we'll be in a good spot. It looks like no Chrysalis. Obviously, refurbs would throw off our clock a little bit. Cast down does too. But that was still not a bad turn of events. I kind of want to cycle this to just see what we get. Bridge, that's fine. Play the star, attack for 4, and pass. I don't mind getting a couple lands so that we can play a Luxknight or Blood Fountain back our creatures. They have a Lembas and Duress. Well, do I want to just get the bigger damage off on them now? Kind of. This attacks in increments of 4, so if we hit it for 3 instead of 4, it's kind of relevant. But if they just play like a refurb that I want to get rid of instead, you know, maybe it would be better to hold it. I don't know. Our own refurb's not bad. Attack for 4. Again, I think we're going to crack this star. We have the colors of mana we need, and if we find like a Glaze Fiend or something, we want it down ASAP, or really any creature. Lightning Bolt's not bad either. Another familiar. Looks like they might draw 2 in response. Discard a Breath Weapon. Fair. Yeah, Breath Weapon's pretty good against Glaze Fiends. They offering the Lembas. Really desperate, because the Lembas gaining M3 could be pretty nice, but obviously they just need creatures here. That's a refurb. I think I just throw it at them. Then we attack. It's 1 damage off, making Unblockable, Mirror Enforcer lethal. I could just bolt the Familiar, in which case we get in for 6. That's probably better, actually. Obviously, let's them draw them a card, but we just want to use our spells. Spell Bomb, a little annoying for the Blood Fountain, but that's not really our main plan at the moment. Yeah, and they use it right now, so if these guys die, we still can just bring them back. Well, we'll attack for 6, and I guess I'll play the bridge. They have to gain life or like remove both our creatures to survive here, and if they go removing our creatures, then having the bridge for the Blood Fountain is nice, because I can replay the Enforcer. I can't replay it right away, actually, if they kill them both and I sack the Fountain. There's a Lembas. Because I could have also just discarded the Fountain to, not the Fountain, the bridge to the Blood Token, and if we find a Bolt, it would have been lethal. But they've definitely gotten unlucky. 23 cards in, not seeing a single Chrysalis. Okay, finally they did. Not that I want them to. We do have 4 unblockable, but they have the Lembas. Unless they tap out here. They might just crack the Lembas right now. That would probably be smart. They makeshift munitions. Okay, unless I'm missing something, I don't think they've read Wedding Invitation. There's a Glaze Fiend. Because this just gives unblockable to our Mirror Enforcer, and then it can just attack in, and they didn't leave up 2 mana for their Lembas. So now that is lethal. Alright, we're going to get there against Jund. So we're 2-2. That's not too bad. Yeah, let's try to go for that positive record. I'm trying to think of things that we could change to make the list better. Of course, we could make it a little bit less like aggro and all in, because we run out of steam quickly, so we could do Fanatical Offerings and Wellsprings, which are not bad. It keeps us stocked with cards for Glaze Fiend. Yeah, Dispute Effect, exactly. So it keeps our hands stocked, making Glaze Fiends better late game, and Fanatical Offering is another instant speed artifact, which can trigger the Glaze Fiend. I think after this last match, I think we'll try that. We'll brew a slightly more mid-range version. Probably go down the bolts. We'll keep Galvanics, obviously. Some removal and burn is nice, but we probably don't need the bolts. Probably don't need the Grim Bauble at that point. Yeah, we'll try that next. 1 land. Tempting. We have a couple cards to play. This cycles. This can draw a new card. But we also have to kind of deploy all of our artifacts before the Glaze Fiend, which is kind of awkward. This one's not terrible. We'll get rid of a Fling. It's that 2-drop black drain card that makes 2 blood. Oh, yeah. Vampire's Kiss. That is not a bad idea. That's probably one that would be better in this version, the more aggressive, just because it's technically card disadvantage because, you know, it doesn't give you any cards, but it lets you cycle through and it deals some damage. So that might be better than bolts in this version. Obviously, it's not removal. It's not quite as much damage to the face, but it's better with Glaze Fiend, so that's not a bad idea at all. We don't have anything here. We're against Jund again. I guess we just put down a Krark. It's not exceptional against Jund, and it's a little aggression. Maybe I just Toxin here just for the artifact, because it lets us get a Mirror Enforcer down next turn. Kind of awkward, especially awkward if they play a Chrysalis next turn. Even with a Mirror Enforcer down, I don't think we're going to have the aggression if they have a Chrysalis. So it's tempting, but I think we're going to let it go. Okay, thank God. We drew a land, so I can still get the Mirror Enforcer down and hold up the Toxin, which is a bit of a non-bow if we end up using it. We'll kill the Mirror Enforcer, but I think that's okay. All right, there's the Chrysalis. I could also just attack with the Enforcer, and if they block, I could just Toxin it. Then we keep our Krark around, which is... I mean, we'd prefer to keep our Enforcer around, but the Enforcer's going to die either way. But if they play another Chrysalis here... Yeah, we're just not... This one's not working out for the aggro, so I think we just want to get as much value out of this Toxin as possible. So if we can get another Chrysalis or a Nyxborn or something out of it, I think that's the goal. Refurb. This Fling not looking too good either. I mean, it's good with Breacher if we can get White Source, but if we want to keep both of these, then we have to get rid of the Toxin, which I don't think is great. Fling is the one we can cast, but if we can wipe the board before landing a Breacher, and they just have like a Refurb, then maybe we get in. I don't know. Maybe I should have Blood Token discarded in response. Yeah, this one's kind of tough. There's an Invitation. Nice with the Breacher. Double Breacher that we cannot cast. And all of our white sources in the main deck are tapped, except for the stars. So I think we're just gonna bin one of these in case we get a bridge here. Well, we did get a bridge. It was not the one we were wanting. We'll pass. They're gonna Galvanic the Enforcer. Well, that's not bad value to get that when we already were looking at killing it at some point. So if they attack with the Crystals, we'll probably block and Toxin. We might not even have to sacrifice. But of course, if they have like a Bolt in response or a Galvanic response, it's not amazing. They have a Makeshift Munitions. Well, I guess we're going to respond to that because otherwise they can just ping it down no matter what. That worked. Okay. I think I'd rather sacrifice a land here. We already have 4 and we're still wanting one more. So I'd rather the utility of these two. They sack the spawn so we don't gain quite as much life, which is smart. I mean, Munitions plus double Wellspring is going to be pretty annoying here. Oh, and they just have a Pulse of Marasa. Bring the Chrysalis right back. Vault of Whispers. Actually, wait. I could bring back Mirror Enforcer and Shaman, but they have a Chrysalis, so what does that even matter? I think we're going to go for the clue here. We get a Bolt. Well, I guess I'll Bolt this Refurb while they're tapped out and pass. I mean, if we get a Breacher down, it's going to be a 9/9. So without a cast down or something, they're going to have a hard time getting through it. Another Refurb would be annoying, though. Okay, they don't have that. Glaze Fiend. Absolutely terrible against a Makeshift. We don't have any way to get rid of the Munitions in our deck, though. So Glaze Fiend's kind of irrelevant anyway. I think we're just going to pass. I guess we'll probably Blood Fountain back the Breacher and the Enforcer. There's the variance. Yeah, exactly. The Glaze Fiend not looking too good here. Yeah, so I've seen people playing this version recently, this Jund Wildfire, where they're now playing 4 Gixian Infiltrators in the main deck. Which initially, I was like, well, that seems crazy. But then I realized, well, the deck has 4 Chrysalises, 4 Landscapes. Okay, we are super dead. I'm just gonna... there's no way we can... I guess I can draw a Toxin and a Krark, but then they have... Yeah, okay, we'll give it another draw. The deck has 4 Chrysalis, 4 Landscape, Makeshift Munitions, 4 Fanatical Offerings. That's already 13 cards that sacrifice. 2 Blood Fountains, 2 Nile Spellbombs, that's 17. And maybe something else. So honestly, it actually kind of makes sense. It looks pretty cool. And in fact, I'm going to try it at some point, probably in a video within the next couple weeks. Yeah, I guess even if we get a Toxin here, it doesn't matter because they have this. All right, we're super dead. But yeah, Gixian Infiltrator, of course, was a card that we tried and had early on in Black Sack, and then found to be not the best there, which I stand by, but it looks pretty interesting in Jund. What did we bring in? Just these before? Yeah, for the Bauble and the Shamans. Although Shaman I actually want in the main deck with Gixian Infiltrator, because we need to be able to wipe those away. So actually, I think we keep them this time, in which case we'll get rid of... I guess Fling and Invitation are pretty good here too. I guess Bolts aren't the most relevant. Gets rid of a Gixian early, but this does that better. Doesn't deal with the Chrysalis. I guess it gets a refurb. Yeah, we'll cut a couple of those. And Munitions, unless we can duress it, we're just going to have to deal with. We are a black-red deck, so we will not have any answers to that otherwise. See, if we just had 2 lands here. Glaze Fiend on turn 2 and 3, and then a Blood Fountain. But we're on the play with 1 land. We certainly cannot keep that. Here's a no-lander. Here's a... I mean, it's acceptable, but it's not aggressive. 2-lander. Turn 1, we get a Fountain. Turn 2... I don't think Krark is what we need this early. And honestly, with an Enforcer in hand, I don't think the Blast is either. I think we just have to try to get like a couple more quick Enforcers or something. Glaze Fiend off the top still wouldn't be terrible here, because then we could play that. Turn 3, we could play both of these. But then we're pretty much out of cards, and then it's just a no-1. There's a bridge. Play this. We're at 4, so I can't play the Enforcer regardless. Yeah, again, there's the tension between Luxknight, Breacher, and Glaze Fiend. You want to play artifacts after Glaze Fiend, but before Breacher. You also want to play artifacts before Enforcer. And so I think you just kind of have to hedge where you can, but you need to play into what you have in hand, right? I can't assume I'm going to draw a Glaze Fiend and keep artifacts for that, so we're going for this Enforcer, so that's what we're doing right now. I will crack one of these stars. I probably should have played the Enforcer first, but we can still play it this turn, so it's fine. That's nice because we get a refurb down, so that was a good draw. And then we can play this. Free Enforcer, and I could cycle this for 1 mana. If we find another Enforcer or a refurb, it's pretty good. But if we top deck like a land here and it's not a white source, and then we get a Breacher, we're going to want to have the star on the field. So I think we'll just leave it. Looked like they had a Galvanic Blast, but they currently only have 2 artifacts. They do. So they're going to double Galvanic Blast this? Or did they just not calculate? Looks like they just did not calculate. They even like thought about it for a second. Okay, I'm okay with it. We'll attack for 6. We did get that 4th land without a white source, so I'm going to keep the star because if we get a Breacher, we're going to want it. And we want the 4th land for the Blood Fountain. Now, if they get a Chrysalis here, we're going to have to probably sack the star to look for something. And they do. There's a Duress. It's not terrible. All right, we're going to crack the star. We're going to crack it for white in case we get a Breacher. We just get a bridge. Well, I'm going to pitch the bridge. We get an Invitation. I guess we play the Invitation because we could get something off of that. Fling. I mean, Invitation plus Fling, that's 8 damage right there. If we find a couple Galvanics, we'll be in a good spot. Duress them. Ooh, well, I think we're taking that Munitions. I mean, Fanatical's more cards, honestly. It's kind of a tough call. Munitions kills the refurb, but I don't care about that. If I can just get in with Enforcer. This can eventually kill Enforcer too. I don't really know if that's the right call, but Munitions is definitely the scarier card because I can't deal with it in any other way. But them drawing 3 cards is pretty scary too. There's the Offering and a Wildfire. Map onto the Chrysalis. They hit a bridge. They already played a Vault this turn. Yeah, so now they have 6 cards in hand, although 3 of them we know aren't too relevant. Of course, we get the Breacher 1 turn after, when we can no longer play it. Well, if we find a white source, we can get this down. It's a 10-10, and we can attack for 10, and we can fling. So, yeah, we just pass. I could also, I might do this later, it depends on how we draw, but I could also just Wedding Invitation for 4 on the Enforcer to hit them down to 10, and then if I have 6 mana, I could just play the Breacher and fling it right away. But I'm not going to do that unless I start drawing lands, because what if they gain life? Then it could throw the whole thing off. They played the Drossforge Bridge, so here's where we're at. There's a star, but now we have to... if I want to use it this turn, I have to draw an untapped land. So I think we probably just play it safe and slow, unfortunately. And we pass again here. But if we can get the Breacher down and they don't kill it, then we can make it unblockable. The Insight. Although if I make this unblockable and they have a cast down, they're going to cast it down. So it's possible that I should just make the Enforcer unblockable, but I can still wait. Oh, don't duress us. If they take our fling, that's going to be really annoying. Refurb, that's also taking our fling. Well, I could get the Breacher down this turn. I got to get rid of the fling and just hope we draw another, I guess. Ugh. This is all just coming up pretty awkwardly. And another Chrysalis. They swing. I'm just going to take it for now. I don't mind chumping with a Refurb because we can bring it back with a Blood Fountain, but I'd like the Breacher to be as big as possible. An Enforcer helps. We're going to play that. Crack the Star for white. We get a land, so we can play that first. Now we get our white source. And then we'll play a Breacher as a 12/12. Well, if they don't find removal for it, I say right before they cast it down immediately. Yep. Well, I can Blood Fountain it back. I say before they play a Spell Bomb. Okay, there's a Wellspring. I guess now we'll chump with a Refurb, because then I can bring it and the Breacher back, and I can play the Refurb right away. I can also double block either one with the Enforcers. If they have a removal spell, it's pretty bad. But maybe then we get through with the Breacher. Oh, they could also just... Oh, they Galvanic us? That's not a good sign. I was going to say, they can also just Krark, wipe these two away while keeping the Chrysalises around. And then 5, 6 is 11, 13. But they have to find a Refurb, a way to kill the Refurb. So if they have another Blast, they could kill us here. There's the Krark. And it definitely looks like they're about to sacrifice. Yep, wipe the Enforcers away. They don't attack with this one smartly because I could trade with it. This is 8 damage. Let's see. I can't get in. Doesn't really matter. I could trade. Then I'm at 7. Pull back Refurb. Yeah, I think we trade. Really confused by that Galvanic Blast that they threw out. We have one, which could be okay, but I think we're just getting back Familiar Breacher. No, I can't play Breacher this turn. I was thinking I could. That changes things a little bit. I guess I Refurb Mirror Enforcer, but then I can't play both those and the Galvanic. I could get a double Enforcer, which is honestly pretty decent blockers if they don't have a removal spell, but then no value. I guess we kind of have to. Get double Enforcer. Oh, and we miscalculated. Well, Refurb would have been better then. I thought I would have 7 artifacts and could hold up the Galvanic. They have a Blood Fountain. 1, 2, 3. I guess they can get back Krark. And if they have one more artifact, they can wipe these away again and get in for lethal. Yep, get back Krark and Refurb. Oh, Refurb also is another artifact. So then they Krark, and that's 4 artifacts. All right, we are super dead. Well, didn't do great there. I do think, based on the double Jund we just played against, I kind of like the look of Cast into the Fire over Smash in the sideboard. All right, let's copy this deck, and we're going to make the mid-range version. I mean, as mid-range as we can be while still being Glaze Fiend, I think. But we're going to go for more card draw. Let's do the fire. So, come on, there we go. So more mid-range in general. I think Cast is better, but also it was just looking like it would have been better there. Oh, and I realized, as always, can't quite see all the sideboard here. There it is. All right. So if we're going mid-range, we cut bolts. Not that. We cut the bolts. We cut Grim Bauble. Those are the only like obvious ones, I think. Yeah. So we're gonna go Fanatical Offering and Wellspring for sure. I think this is the main change we're doing, so I think we're just 4 and 4 of these. And then, I mean, I guess if we're going more mid-range, we could do like Wildfires, but like Then we have to play basics, and also currently we don't have anything we're super ramping to. It would be a little fixing for Breacher. We're still trying to do Glaze Fiend stuff. Packed Doll, yes. That is a good call. Packed Doll makes sense. I was, for the aggro version, I was looking at whatever it is, Reckless Fireweaver, which is the 2-mana Packed Doll that doesn't gain life in red. It always feels just barely not good enough. And Packed Doll feels good even though it is 4 mana because it's an artifact, so it triggers itself, and the life gain is really nice. We should pop this open too. So yeah, I like Packed Doll. We don't have to be on 4 Breachers. We could obviously do a Rakdos version of this deck, and that would probably be better, but I still think I want to try the Breacher because I think it looks pretty sweet, and it was pretty cool in at least one game. But I think we can probably cut to 3. We might do like 3 Terrors as well. I guess if we're going Terrors, maybe we don't have to do Enforcers. But they are free triggers for Glaze Fiend and Packed Doll and Breacher, essentially. Oh, I still have a Bolt in here. Krark is probably necessary. Howdy, Big Mac. How's it going? Especially if we're going more mid-range, I think Krark Toxin's good. Rakdos and Drop the Stars. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the best bet. You get to drop Stars, and you get to drop Breachers, which are a little awkward. One of the downsides to that is you kind of have to drop... You don't have to. You get to drop Bridges, but then you have to play, like, Darksteel Citadels. I think that would probably be a better deck, but I think I want to, just as an experiment, keep trying with the Luxknight Breacher, because I think it's pretty sweet. But yeah, obviously, the Stars can be a little awkward. They're also nice, though, because they're just free. I mean, they're 1 mana, but they're very cheap, replaceable artifacts to pump up the Glaze Fiend. Now they're bringing in Fanatical Offerings. It's more cards to sacrifice to the offering, so I think that's pretty good, honestly. Blood Fountain. We don't need 3 Blood Fountains. Like, we weren't activating them as much as we would want in that version. Now we're trying to go a little more mid-range, so it feels good. It's still pretty important and really good with Glaze Fiend, Packed Doll, Mirror Enforcer. I mean, I do think this is a lot. They're great with Packed Doll and Fiend. Yeah, I think that's why, like, they're not as good at bringing things back as you want in like a Jund or anything like that, but they're just really good because they trigger everything twice. Optimize, optimize, optimize. End up at Esper Affinity. Well, I mean, we're trying something different, but like I like to optimize within whatever deck I'm trying to make as much as possible. At some point, you know, maybe it's not the best deck ever. You want to go to a different deck to optimize, but I think we can try to do something here. Waiting Invitation. Yeah, I think it's probably Invitation. If we're not going as aggressive, it's not as important. It just kind of sits around. It's kind of worse Wellspring most of the time. I think that's fair. Look, Esper Affinity is... I mean, I'll just say it. It's the best deck in the format by a mile. I mean, I don't know about that, but it's a good deck, and I think people are not giving it the respect that it deserves. Okay, I think Fling was being pretty awkward. I think we're trying to keep a couple in the deck, but I think maybe just 2. I guess if we're going more mid-range, we could just cut the Flings entirely. We used to do this joke back when Pioneer was played at our LGS. Every deck converges to red-black mid-range if you keep replacing bad cards for better ones. Yeah, I think pretty much any format you're in, you can kind of do that, where it's like, well, you should be... I think Loading Ready Run had a joke in one of their old Friday Nights videos that was basically like, why are you playing Plains in your blue-black control deck? Like, that's just suboptimal. Why aren't you just playing, you know, blue-black control? I was like, well, I don't want to play blue-black control. It's like, well, why wouldn't you want to play the best deck in the format? It's so obvious. Fling isn't great on its own. Yeah, I mean, we're cutting Breachers, and it doesn't... It's fine with it as a Mirror Enforcer. You know, 4 damage, 3 damage, not great. It's nice with the Glaze Fiend. I think we... I mean, we're literally called Af-Fling-ity. But I do think Fling's probably our weakest card here. So let's, you know, and let's just replace this white with blue, and let's keep the Fling. I kind of want to keep at least 1 or 2 of them. I think that's what the deck is. So I think I can cut I had 3 and that was feeling like a lot, but I think 2 we'll try to keep. Trim a Star and a Fountain. Yeah, that might be the call. Everything else is looking pretty good. My concern is that it was already kind of hard enough to play the Breachers with this number of white sources, so trimming a Star could be kind of awkward. But we did cut the number of Breachers. We do just have more card draw, so we can actually find them a little bit easier. I think that might be okay. And then, yeah, Fountain is so good with these, but is it really better than just Refurb, Wellspring? Not really. Yeah, I think 2 is probably fine. And that's 60. I think we can probably stick at 19 lands. It wasn't feeling too awkward. We're still not going anywhere near as late game or like have as much card draw as Esper or Grixis or anything like that. What do we think of our sideboard here? I switched the Smash for Cast of the Fire, which I think is going to be better. We did get hosed by some blue decks, so I could always go up one of these. I guess End the Festivities is not like incredible at the moment. Like obviously it was really good when Clodotha was a thing. Red Rally is still around, but a little bit less played. It's decent against Fairies, decent against White Weenie, although that one does not. I have not seen a lot of White Weenie recently. It's good against Elves. Elves is like not crazy popular, but also I absolutely hate losing to Elves. So anytime I can have Elves hate, I enjoy it. But maybe like going down to 2 of that and adding another Pyro. I only have 3 red Elemental Blasts, so we're going to have some asymmetry here. But these cards are like 12 tickets, so, you know, what am I supposed to do? 3 Duress, 3 Spellbomb. I think that's probably fine. Duress is nice for most decks. Spellbomb's important against some stuff. Pyro has better art. Fight me. I mean, I like this Pyro art a lot, to be honest. This one's decent, but I like the lighting in this one a lot. Yeah, I mean, if we're comparing this to this, I definitely like Pyro better. Okay, well, I think this looks solid. Looks interesting. I think pack dolls are going to be really good, and obviously just card draw is going to be nice. I was hoping with as many bolts as we had that we would just get more burn wins. I think we got like 1 or maybe 2. All right, well, let's take this for a league. Mardu Af-Fling-ity. Maybe Moxite instead or in addition to Fanaticals. Yeah, I do like the look of Moxite. I did try it in a deck before. My concern is that without anything that cares about the graveyard beyond like a Blood Fountain, the discard's not great. It's just, you know, fixing basically. The fact that it makes an artifact robot can be really nice for Packdoll and Glaze Fiend. I mean, I think the question is what would we be cutting for it? Because this list looks pretty solid. You said instead or in addition to Fanaticals, like we could cut Wellsprings, but I think Wellspring is obviously just like the best card to have with Fanatical. We could cut a Fanatical or 2, but I like that this is a combat trick for Glaze Fiend and just draws 2. And since we're not loving the discard, except if like, yeah, if Fling's a bad or if Breacher we can't cast, maybe Moxite's decent. I do really like Moxite though. I think it's a very sweet design. Maybe sub out a Wellspring to see how it feels. Yeah, I'm definitely open to it. If we're going to try it out, we should at least try 2 so we can actually see it. So I don't know if like if we're optimizing, this might be going in the opposite direction, but you obviously got to try things out to see how they feel. So yeah, let's cut a Wellspring and let's cut a Fanatical. We're going down a little bit on our card package, but we also get a little bit more synergy. I mean, this is also a combat trick. I realize I was not fully saying that about that can pump the Glaze Fiend too. So yeah, let's try 2 of those. I do think Moxite's a sweet card that's being underutilized, although it's actually finally seeing some play. I'm gonna have to. I already submitted, so let me drop from this, and then how do I have to go into the other screen to drop? Oh, drop. Perfect. Maybe there's just not a perfect deck for it right now. Yeah, I think that's probably the case. People have started to play it in kind of a Rakdos Madness Metalcraft hybrid mono red deck with Galvanic Blast, Clockwork, Tomb Raider, but then also Sneaky Snacker and Fiery Temper. And that looks pretty interesting. It feels like there's a lot going on there because sometimes in those lists I'm still seeing Gutter Snipes and Kessig Flame Breathers, and so like I don't really know how that all works out. But yeah, I think we just don't have a perfect deck for them. The big thing is that they go perfectly with Snacker, but Snacker already has Grab the Prize, Demand Answers. Grab the Prize being the main one, but Demand Answers, Highway Robbery, and even Sazakep's Brew that are all already doing that. And Flush Out. Like, we've gotten a million Tormenting Voice variants recently that have all been, like, really good in different decks. I mean, this hand looks pretty solid and is definitely looking like a nice hand to have a Glaze Fiend that's not an 0-1 for the entire game. Obviously far slower than what we were working with before, like if these were bolts or whatever, but Glaze Fiend on... I mean, we hope we draw an untapped land so we can actually get it down on 2. But playing it on 3 and then a Wellspring isn't terrible. Ooh, we are against Rakdos Madness. We have a lot of tap lands, and if we can get a Pact Altair, we can start getting life, but that's expensive. Glaze Fiend is not going to survive, I don't think, here either. Oh, and they're playing Flame Breather? That's interesting. Well, I don't know if that's better than not playing Flame Breather in this deck, but we are going to die. They're also on Vault, which means Galvanic. Alright, we might die very quickly here. We will see. Swing for 1, and Vampire's Kiss for 3 damage. They only have 4 cards, which is a lot, but it's, you know, I could refurb them to take a card while they don't have... I'm assuming Madness. It could just be something else, but they've got Vampire's Kiss, they've got Jagged Barons. I'm assuming Madness just with Flame Breather and Galvanic Blast. I think we just go Glaze Fiend and probably fail at racing them, but I think that's what we're going for here. I mean, if we get like perfect draws here, then like maybe we have a turn where we can make like a 8/8 Glaze Fiend after already attacking for a bit, and then we can fling it. But they have to have pretty slow draws, because that's like a 3-turn plan for us. And if they have just a medium draw, they could probably kill us in about 2 turns here. And we can't even block, because our 2-drop has 1 toughness with no power. They're passing. I mean, maybe that's a good sign, or maybe they just have like 2 Fiery Tempers in instant speed. We do get a Blood Fountain to pump this up. Well, let's play a Bridge. See if they just want to try killing this. No. We're not flinging this turn. I mean, I could play a Blood Fountain, hit for 6, and then fling, but that's obviously not great. But I could try to set up to fling big next turn. So I think we're going to play a Wellspring and probably Refurb here. Offering. Yeah. Although I Refurb pre-combat and they get a Fiery Temper off, but they're already going to be able to do that. They didn't choose to do it anyway, and it doesn't kill a Glaze Fiend, so be it. Or an Alms of the Vein. Oh, there it is. 8. Yeah, 4 damage Alms is pretty brutal. Well, we'll attack for 6. Next turn, we can... They have a Kitchen Imp. Are they going to block? Or are they just doing it to see what they're going to draw? If they block, I mean, part of me doesn't hate that because then they get rid of a Kitchen Imp, but part of me does hate that because it probably removes the possibility of flinging for lethal next turn. Yeah, like even if we top deck a Blood Fountain, our second Blood Fountain, we could play both of those plus a Bridge. That's plus 10 to the Fiend. We hit for 12. We can fling for 10. That's still not lethal. Maybe we get an untapped land. Okay, they swing at the Flame Breather. It's 1 damage, which could be lethal. Like Galvanic Lightning Bolt would kill us with this 1 extra damage. I don't think we have lethal on them next turn anyway, so I think we might as well play it safe. And I'm not seeing that 2 damage is going to make a difference. Grab the Prize with the Snacker, and they're passing. With a lot of card draw here. I mean, I could hold up Fanatical Offering as a trick and block, but I also feel like I really need to dig for answers. If I find Galvanics, I can maybe take out the Flame Breather, which gives us a chance to live. Clearly, we weren't dead on 2 mana at 7 life, so maybe their hand is mostly duds. So I think we just draw for this. Bridge, Refurb. I mean, that's a blocker. Play a Bridge. Yeah, Fling's never getting used here. So I think, do we have untapped lands? We certainly do. There are, I mean, we have a lot of tap lands, to be fair. We have 11 tap lands. We have 8 untapped lands. But you'd think we would have seen one of them. I mean, I could Familiar. That could give them, like, a Fiery Temper, and maybe that kills us. But if they have a Fiery Temper, we're going to be dead either way. I think just getting the blocker down is important. There's a Kitchen Imp. That's another blocker for the Glaze Fiend, which is pretty annoying. Because I was once again trying to set up a turn where I could at least next turn get a Fling going. I could Blood Fountain, but they just chump it. I guess we're going to map. We get another tap land. Well, we're going to swing. This wouldn't be the first time that I had won a game against Rakdos Madness where they just needed to not have like one bolt, and I somehow still made it. But it's not looking good. This is 3 damage. We block here. 1 lightning bolt or Alms of the Vein is going to kill us. Demand answers with a land. Sneaky Snacker. Play a Great Furnace. I mean, we're somehow not dead at the moment. Although, yeah, we're not dead, but they have 2 blockers, which is kind of a pain. Rakdos Madness is basically the counter to every deck I think will be fun. Yeah, it just generally has a ton of value and very quick speed. Problem is, we can't clear these blockers, and I don't think we're going to be able to deal 20 with this. Well, we're going to take 1 at this point. I don't think it'll matter. And if it does, so be it. If it did, they would have attacked with everything, so I figure they just can't block with it, so that's why they're swinging. Grab the prize again. Okay. Weird they didn't do that first, because then they could have maybe seen if they could have gotten in for lethal. They have Galvanic now. I assume they have them in their deck since they have so many artifacts, but they've not found any. We did get a Packdoll Terror. They couldn't kill us before. This can gain us 1, 2, 3, 4 life. I mean, that's got to be the play. We'll do it pre-combat so we can attack with Glaze Fiend. All right. I mean, I guess maybe we can survive this, but it's still quite a difficult prospect. I was saving the Blood Fountain for the turn we could fling, but now we just need to gain life. I think the chances they block the Glaze Fiend are very high. Because if they didn't block... No, they don't block. Okay, well, they were blocking it so diligently before. But, yeah, it was possible I should have left it back and not gotten greedy with the 8 damage. Because now they have 2 extra damage in the air. But what are you going to do? Ooh, Faithless Looting is definitely a good one. That's 2 damage by itself with the flashback. Not to mention whatever they discard. Which apparently is not an easy choice. Okay, Alms of the Vein. That puts us to 2. And then they attack, and they got us. I mean, I'm sure they're going to attack, right? What if they just forget in their aggro deck? They just have a Vampire's Kiss? Okay. Well, Packdoll was almost cool. They were whiffing for a long time. They are playing the artifact version, so this means we do get to cast into the fire to exile their lands. I generally don't hate Spellbomb because it can get Snacker and Faithless. I honestly don't hate Duress just because it can take like a Grab the Prize. Don't know if we're bringing this all in, but Krark's, even with the Kessig, I don't think Krark looks great. Toxin's obviously good though for life gain. Moxite can dig us to the cards we need, plus it's double triggers for the Terror and the Fiend. I mean, in general, this is one where maybe Breacher isn't as good because it's just slow, but if we can just, and I think we can, if we can just survive till turn 4, put it down on turn 4, even as like an 8-8 or a 6-6, and then Toxin it once, that could be a really big swing. This is probably too many sideboard cards. I think I want to definitely get the casts. I guess on the play, I'd prefer Duress, I guess. I don't know. Although we still have 4 additional cards. Maybe I don't even play Duress because we don't have enough to cut. Spellbound doesn't do enough, yeah. I mean, that's the problem with these decks is that, yeah, if Spellbomb in general probably doesn't do enough if it just takes 1 snacker, but if they have like 2 or 3 snackers early, then you're going to wish you had a Spellbomb. But yeah, I think we will not bring it in here. Fling is good because it helps us win the race. I guess this is generally a match where like I would maybe cut a little bit of card draw because I don't want to go as late game because I'm trying to beat them in speed. I don't know if that's right, but maybe cut like a couple of these and maybe just 2 duress. I don't even know. Sideboarding is, I think, one of the hardest parts about the game in general. Sideboarding with a deck that you've just built is impossible. I guess maybe a Blood Fountain. I guess it's more triggers, but we're never going to bring stuff back. What do I know? It takes me months of diligently playing a deck before I really know how to sideboard. 1 Luxknight. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. One of them probably could have gone. This hand has no creatures or removal, but I can duress turn 1. Well, not turn 1, turn 2 before they can draw 2. Then I can card drive a Toxin. I mean, sure. Why not? Turn 2 I can duress and star. Turn 3 I can offering the star. They got a Barrens. They don't have a land I can cast, so we'll just cast into the fire, that is. We'll just do this. Okay, Flame Breather and 3 burn spells. Not a super scary hand. Galvanic is the most damage, and it can take creatures. It doesn't. They don't currently have the 3 artifacts, but I think it's just the Galvanic. Although these are the ones they can discard and get more value out of. Yeah, I don't know. I'll take the Temper here, I think. Alms is the biggest life swing. Yeah, that is true. But I think I'd rather take something that can remove one of our creatures here. If it was just, like if we were more of the aggro version and it was aggro versus aggro, maybe I would just want to take the biggest life swing. Maybe that's not right, but I don't know. Okay, I could get rid of their land, or I could just kill this. I don't think killing this is probably bad. They do have a lot of lands, so I actually don't think getting rid of a land is super relevant at the moment. Although, will it be relevant ever at that point? I guess this can get rid of Snack or 2. Should have picked Galvanic as it kills Mirror Enforcer. Yeah, that's definitely a good consideration too. That was where I was leaning. My issue with it, not my issue, but the reason that I chose the Temper is just if they top deck like a Fiery Temper and can suddenly Alms and Temper off of the Faithless while refilling their hand with 2 cards, it's really rough. Whereas at least this way they'd have to, unless they find another one, they'd have to discard like a land or something. Galvanic Blasting this also isn't as mana efficient because I'm not going to cast this Toxin. So I think I just set them back actually. How much damage are they going to deal this 1 turn with this Flame Breather? Probably the 1 that they attack for. And then I can just Galvanic it next turn. And that's what cast is for. It's only going to get worse if I don't use it right away. So even if it doesn't like stall them on lands, it still does set their turn back a little bit. Plus, it makes this Galvanic worse. A swing. All right. Well, we're going to Fanatical this star. Draw 3. There's a Glaze Fiend. We're going to just take this guy out. I guess Galvanic killing Glaze Fiend without having to be discarded is another reason that I maybe should have done it the other way. Although I can actually keep it alive with Toxin Analysis since Galvanic is not currently dealing 4 damage. Demand Answers and a Snacker. Well, I was trying to prevent that from happening. I guess it is turn 4, so can only prevent it for so long. And another Barrens. There's the Enforcer. I will say, Galvanic currently cannot kill a Mirror Enforcer because they have no artifacts on the field. So this Enforcer's not feeling too bad, actually. If I play a Glaze Fiend and the Mirror Enforcer, Glaze Fiend's kind of looking rough. As in it doesn't do much. But I think I'm going to hold this bridge for it. Well, if I hold the bridge for it, then I can Toxin. But then I'm not getting any life off the Toxin. Whereas actually if I play the bridge, I can play the Enforcer. I can map onto this. That still dies to a Galvanic, though. That doesn't make sense. I guess I map onto the Enforcer, because if I can make it a 5/5, well, we get a land, so it doesn't matter. If I make it a 5/5, it gains more off the Toxin. They're swinging. Well, if they wait to Galvanic on our turn in response to like a trigger, then I can Toxin and keep our guy alive on our turn, which would be cool. They just hardcast an Alms of the Vein. I'm fine with that. And then they go for a Bolt here. Okay, so I could keep it alive, but I don't gain any life. Then I have a bridge, so I hit for 2. Plus I'm drawing a card, but I'm at 11. I think gaining 4 is probably more important. Unfortunately, yeah, another bridge. Will it live? It's +2/+2. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was doing calculations for Galvanic, which was only 2 damage, so you're right. There was no real choice there, so good thing I did not do that. Why is this not working? Toxin Analysis this. Pre-combat, just in case there's anything that matters. Cast Another Fire. I mean, I can take another artifact. Continues to make this Galvanic Blast worse. I'm not flinging this, and so I could kill a Snacker with this. And they have a Drossforge Bridge in hand, but then our Enforcer lives. But they don't have a way to bring the Snacker back that we know of. I think maybe we'll keep it for the Snacker. I only have 2 cards we don't know about, so maybe I can just get rid of this for a turn or 2. They still need another artifact in addition to the bridge to get the Enforcer. There's that. Well, we will see if this stays in the grave at all. It does for now. Very nice. We get a Galvanic. I mean, that's 8 damage in our hand, plus the Enforcer. Although, if they do get another artifact and shoot this, I might just want to hold the fling for a Luxknight Breacher, which would be 6, 7, 8, a 10/10 potentially. I think because we're playing card draw, we play the bridge. I guess that makes Moxite worse. It's so difficult to know whether I should play tap lands here, because if I draw like a Wellspring into an Offering, I want the land, I want the mana, but if I don't, it's not great. They did finally hit that 3rd land, 3rd artifact, but we hit the Breacher, which I should maybe have just cast before I attack here, because they're probably going to Galvanic this, and then I'm going to lose a power here. Oh, or they just have a Cast Another Fire, Smash to Smithereens, yeah. Well, now that we have this Breacher, we're definitely not flinging that. I mean, this is a 9/9. So unless they can kill us here, I can just attack for 9 and then fling. Unless they have a blocker. Alms of the Vein. That still doesn't change the math, because we have 18 here. Plus we have double Galvanic, in case they somehow have like a Demand Answers into an Alms of the Vein again. Alright. Let's fling a Breacher at him. Nice. We did the thing. That's what we're here for. They did not have a very good hand. Our One of Duress did help moderately. It wasn't insane or anything, but yeah, but we were able to do it. Very nice. Let's try to do it again. The thing. Vindication. This hand is bad. Even, I mean, if we get an untapped land, of which we have very few, or I guess if we draw a bridge on turn 1, then I could get Wellsprings down, but I'm still not really affecting the board early enough. This one's better. They mulligan to 5. Okay. I could keep double Cast Another Fire if I want to be greedy and try to get rid of all their lands, but I think we're not going to be quite that greedy. Because if they just have a Jagged Barrens, it's not as good. I mean, they're probably playing 12 artifact lands, so it's not unreasonable. But I think I want this Duress to take, like... Because I can play Duress on turn 1, which could take a draw 2. That means I can't Cast Another Fire on turn 2. So it kind of depends on what land they start with. It's a Drossforge Bridge. I mean, that kind of makes me want to cast that on turn 2. I play this, turn 2 I cast, turn 3 Bridge, Refurb, I can't Duress. Or I do turn 1 Duress, turn 2 Bridge, and then I don't have anything on turn 2. Yeah, I think we're leaning on the Bridge, trying to take their land. They mulligan to 5, so maybe if they only kept a 1 or 2 lander, all bridges, maybe I should have kept that other Cast in the Fire. Melded Moxite. Well, we're definitely... It's funny, in Pauper, my favorite thing to do is blow up my opponent's lands with Cast in the Fire and stuff, because, you know, and I say this as an Affinity player, I love artifact lands, but you played the artifact lands, you took the risk. But I'm not a Ponza player. Like, I would not actually play Ponza, because that's rude. Everybody has to play lands, you know? But if you're choosing to play artifact lands, you knew the risk. That's just my opinion about it. Well, I think we Duress them. I'm not going to refurb when I don't know their hand, and they could just, like, get a Kitchen Imp or something. But I can Duress, and I can leave up a Galvanic if they do get a creature down. This can make it so they don't get a Snacker if they have a draw to. They do. They have a Grab the Prize and a Faithless. I guess next turn they Faithless with Alms of the Vein. Usually I'd take the Grab the Prize here, but they have to hit an untapped land to be able to grab with Alms. So if they grab with whatever and don't cast anything, that's actually pretty decent. So I think I'll take the Faithless Looting here. And then we don't have anything else. So we have a Galvanic Blast. But like if they're forced to use Grab the Prize on something they don't really want to now, or just don't use it at all, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, Kitchen Imp. Wasting a Kitchen Imp, love to see that. And they don't even hit a land drop. Do I just want to Galvanic them? I don't think I need to do that this early. Toxin's not bad. Okay. This is the issue I was looking at with Moxite before. We don't really want to get rid of anything here, but I don't mind doing my land drops and stuff, so I think they don't have a lot of creatures. Would Familiar trigger Madness? It would trigger Madness, which is why I didn't want to play it when they had an open mana, but if they don't have the open mana, then it's not a big deal. So I will play it this turn and make them discard, and if they want to discard an Alms, they can do that, but they don't have the mana to use it. But that is always a concern. So I think we're just going to Mox that away at Galvanic. They haven't shown creatures. They're getting rid of a Kitchen Imp. I still have one for another, and I do want to hit these land drops, even if 2 is, maybe more than I wanted. But yeah, that's always something. They discard a Galvanic. Always something you got to be aware of when you're playing Refurbs, which is obviously a busted card in the format. But if you're against Rakdos or Red Madness, they can definitely Madness in off of your Familiars. They're Faithless Looting here, so I'm sure we're going to see the Alms and a Snacker. Okay. They're still not hitting lands. Ooh, we're about to destroy this man's whole career. Well, let's see if they just want to just leave the game now. We'll take that land, and we'll just play a bridge. Fanatical was worse here, and Wellspring better. So it's mid now. Yeah, that's fair. That is a good point, that Fanatical, we wouldn't really want to sacrifice anything. Okay. And honestly now, it's going to be pretty good, because we're going to be able to double our clock here. Maybe I should have just Toxined to get this going, to draw a card here. Because there is still a world where if we don't kill them fast enough and they just draw bolt, 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 we can die. There's a Mirror Enforcer. Okay, I'm going to wait on the Toxin for that, because it seems unlikely we're going to die before that gets to attack. Worst they could have here is 3 damage, then they untap, play a land, 6 more damage, I think. So, going to keep that for the Enforcer for safety. And then this is 8 plus Galvanic. So we're going to Galvanic here. If we draw another Galvanic, a Fling or anything, we can just finish the game right now. Toxin the Mirror Enforcer. Crack the Clue. Fanatical Offering. Well, we'll just see if we can draw a burn spell, I think. And we drew a couple Grave Furnaces. That's fine. I guess we'll map onto this. If they want to shoot it, that's fine. Galvanic Blast on top. We will leave that on top. Alright. Able to take down the match against Rakdos. Casting the Fire doing big work there. If those were smashed to smithereens, I still would have brought them in because they had untapped Mirrodin lands, but they would not have taken out those bridges. And we were still at 11 with everything that we did, so we definitely could have lost that one pretty handily. Alright. The one lander with 3 1-drops that we'd prefer to play after the Terror, plus we have the Star, and we're on the draw, or not the draw, the play. We're going to mulligan. Another one lander that looks far worse. Alright, this is reasonable. It's not great, but it's reasonable. I mean, it's really bad, honestly, because this can't target anything. This, we don't have anything to sacrifice. It's probably just got to be the Toxin and hope that we get a Wellspring off the top would be probably our best draw to go with the Offering. Okay, we are against Spy. They reveal... Is Nyxborn Hydra glitching now, too? They revealed 9 cards, somehow, despite the fact that they only had 7 cards in hand. Play this Forest, play this Elvish Mystic. Saga Wildling has been, like, doing weird and doubling up, and I assume it's because it's got an Omen. But now there's 2 Hydras, and I think... I don't know if they're supposed to be or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I assume not, but kind of annoying. They do have Masked Vandal. Currently no way to put a creature in the grave. Refurb was a decent draw. No, it was a terrible draw, because if I play it, that puts a creature in their grave. So I guess we will not be playing that, because then they can just Vandal us, whereas they currently don't have a way to do that. Wildling for a swamp. Elves a Deep Shadow. Oh, this is Elves Spy. I was not even calculating that. Glaze Fiend, maybe okay. I could Glaze Fiend and Refurb, but again, Refurb just helps the Vandal. This is a really awkward match for the Familiar. I think we just play Glaze Fiend and pass. They can just get down Timberwatch, which is going to be tough if we don't find a Galvanic Blast. There it is. And a Mystic. Glaze Fiend. Let's look back at what they revealed. It only says Roost, Seek, and Saga Wildling, and then it says 2 Nyxborn Hydras. So it makes it seem like they have 2, and this is their 4 cards. I guess the 8th card was the Forest that they drew. That was probably it. Okay, so I think this is their hand. Another Glaze Fiend. So I could go Fiend, Refurb, and attack for 4, but then they have a Vandal, take whatever. They also can now start pumping. Kind of feels like I need to Offering to dig for land. Not land, removal spells. I could also just Refurb and leave up the Offering for whatever they target, which isn't terrible. Yeah, so it's not great. I guess we just Glaze Fiend, but then they get a Nyxborn Hydra down, and it doesn't really matter, right? Because they play that for 4, but then they can't attack. I don't know. I guess I'll play a Glaze Fiend. And just swing for 2. If they Vandal, then they don't Hydra. And I guess what's the worst they can take? One of our Glaze Fiends. Kind of annoying, but, you know, not the worst. I don't know. I think we'll just continue not giving them the Vandal. Attack for 2. And then maybe they don't play a Hydra and we can like hit in for a bunch. Seems unlikely. But if they play one of these, maybe they don't get in for a bunch of damage here. They just swing for 1. Okay. Yeah, they swing for 3, which I'll take. They can Timberwatch it. And then they're just going to play a Hydra for 1, maybe. So we take 7. They land grant. I'll play a Hydra for 0. If they don't play a Hydra, I mean, like, if I draw like a Blood Fountain here, then I could hit them for 16 theoretically. That'd be pretty good. Okay, Bridge. I can still play 1. Actually, I can still hit them for 16 right here, right? Bridge, Refurb, Enforcer, Fanatical. Then I'm tapped out, but I can hit them for 16 because that's 1, 2, 3, 4 triggers. They're at 1. Do we die then? They get a Vandal. They could take 1 blocker. Hydra, it doesn't look lethal there. Lawless Giant doesn't look lethal. Yeah, I mean, looks like I can put them to 1. And I have to do it in this order? No, because this replaces itself with an artifact. Oh, so I shouldn't have played that land yet. Because if I draw like a untapped land and a blast or something, I could get there. I was thinking this was going to put me down, so I had to play the Enforcer first, but this keeps me at the same amount. So yeah, I should not have played that yet. Okay, it doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter, because if I played this and I map, then that could be lethal. Yep. So I should not have played the land, because I miscalculated. They discard the Giant. Surprise, surprise. We hit for 16, and hope we didn't throw. But they do get Vandal. They can play 1 or maybe even 2 Hydras this turn. I mean, I guess if they have to do all of that just to survive, it's kind of good. They're using a lot of resources for that. They can chump Enforcer, so I assume Vandal's going to take out the Familiar. Yeah, we'll have to see what we draw. I mean, it's results oriented, but if we draw a land here, then we weren't going to win last turn regardless with the map. If we don't draw a land here, we would have won last turn if we had just Fanaticaled first. Either way, we should have done it first. They got the Vandal. Take out a Glaze Fiend. Okay. I mean, to me, if I have no way to trigger these, which is very unlikely, the Refurb's the one that has guaranteed power, but these are the ones that can get bigger, so if they make 2 Hydras that are big enough to survive, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I mean, it's looking good for us. I just did throw a little bit, as I'm prone to do. It's really my favorite pastime. They play 1 Hydra. It's a 2/3. So if I can make this have any power, yeah, that would have been lethal last turn. So this should just be lethal then, right? 2 flyers. Unless they have life gain in some way. Map onto this. I can't imagine they have life gain. They're also tapped out except for this elves that is lethal on them. If they ping it. If they tap it. Alright. We got there, despite our punt. They are Elves Spy, which means we get the End the Festivities and Cast of the Fire. And we get Spellbomb. I know they have Vandals, but Spellbomb can make it so that they can't take one of our other artifacts, like if we're stalled on lands or something, and obviously it just makes it so that their Vandals have to go with the Spellbombs. It's, I think, still worth it. Kark is also good, but Toxin's pretty irrelevant. Even as much as like 10 life, they can still just ping us for way more than that, or they can pump their guys with Timberwatch Elf, so we don't need those. And their creatures are small enough generally that the Kark, just 2 or 3 artifacts will do. So those are good. Pactol Terror, Breacher. They have a lot of chump blockers. Of course, that's what Fling is for. But the flyers are definitely better. Like Glaze Fiend is definitely the one to lean on here. And Enforcer's not bad. If we can get it early enough, we still kind of like start eating guys. I do think we want all these though, so I think we're gonna cut just a couple of various things. Galvanic is good. We want as much removal as possible. I guess Pactol does feel a little slow. I kind of like, isn't Death Touch super relevant on Kark blockers for pumped boys? Well, if they're gonna, I guess Kark is pretty good against a giant Nyxborn Hydra, so maybe for that reason we want it. But if you're saying pump with like a Timberwatch Elf, then Kark should just be able to wipe away all the elves before that happens, or after it, like in response to it happening. So like they shouldn't be able to pump there. But if they get a Nyxborn Hydra that's like a 10/10 or whatever, then yes, I guess Death Touch is pretty important. I think our goal with everything else is just to stop that from happening. If they get to that point, I think we're gonna like. I don't think the Toxin. It could be good in that situation. I think it's probably something that I don't need in general. At least that's how I'm feeling. I think we'll submit like that, but I could be wrong for sure. It just, I would keep the Toxins in probably against like Spy Walls because they have 3 and 4 and 5 toughness creatures that I want to kill, and I don't necessarily have enough artifacts for that. But against Elves, it's like they're all 1 and 2 toughness things. This is a pretty fast Glaze Fiend to start. Plus we have a Spellbomb and we have the Fling. This looks okay. They mulligan to 6 with an Elves. Breacher, not looking particularly relevant at the moment. Sylvan Ranger, I've not seen that art before. Looks like an MTGO 1. That's why. Swamp there. Another Luxknight Breacher. Maybe we could have cut a Luxknight Breacher. I didn't really want to pull them all out. I think I like them over the Pact Doll here. But they are not what I want to see right now. Winding Way. Find a Timberwatch and a Genersant. Not the worst. I guess I didn't necessarily address the blockers for Pumped Boys. If they are doing Timberwatch and pumping a guy and we're blocking with like a Refurb or a Mirror Enforcer, my thought there is killing off one of their dorks that's attacking is kind of irrelevant because they'll just have another one that's just slightly smaller. So at that point, it doesn't seem like the biggest deal to me either. They played the Forest, cast Llanowar Elves. I could just Kark here for 1. Honestly, not terrible. But then the Timberwatch could bring them back. They could just play a Genersant here, which kind of is annoying against the Glaze Fiend. And then Death Touch would be nice for that. Ideally, they play a Timberwatch Elf, and then I can Kark for 2 next turn and take them all out. Us not hitting lands is really annoying here. I guess if I play another Glaze Fiend, based on what happened last game, they're going to play the Genersant if they can, because they're going to be too worried about the double Glaze Fiend attack, I think. In which case, Kark's kind of awkward, but we don't really have anything good to sacrifice to the Kark right now, because I could play a Spellbomb, crack it, don't draw a card, and we don't get rid of their graveyard. That feels bad. And then they play a Timberwatch Elf, and we don't have removal for that, or we sack the Glaze Fiend, which is not my favorite either. None of this feels great, and I do think this is probably going to put them on the Genersant if they have a way to make it this turn. But they do need another land for that, which they milled 1. How many lands did we see last game? I think 4? I don't know. Like, they could be playing anywhere between 4 and 6, but a lot of times recently they've been airing lower, so like 4, which means they might have all their lands gone already, in which case not playing the Spellbomb might just loses the game here to a Spy. But then, yeah, maybe I should have just, for that reason, wiped the board. Well, Winding Way looks like not the worst. They do hit Spy and double Ranger. Okay. If they just put a bunch of Rangers on the field here, and then I can Kark away all their guys, that's pretty good. Untap, replay the Forest. 3 mana, they could also play a Timberwatch Elf. Oh, they could play them both. Oh, they could Spy. Well, I've miscalculated. Yeah, we're just gonna die. I got a dip, but this is dope. Looking forward to catching the VOD. Yeah, it should be up tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, and have a good rest of your day. We are throwing. Super dead here, because I did not put down the spell bomb. And that's how it goes, you know? I will say I am very bad against Spy. I don't know how to play against it. I feel like I lose a lot, because it's a pretty good deck. But I also feel like even when I have the appropriate tools, I can not beat them as much as I should be able to. And it's probably because I don't play my Kark and my Spellbomb, the 2 perfect cards against them, when I have the mana. No lands. And that's probably something I should try to do in the future. This one looks pretty good. Double Glaze Fiend. Again, might not be the best. Might not be the fastest. I think we'll get rid of one of them, to be honest. I think I'd prefer the card draw on the Familiar. But we're definitely going to end the festivities when I see some creatures. Land Grant. All right. Here's a Land Grant. Forest. Oh my gosh. Double Land Grant should be illegal, because now it just makes it so hard to figure out what's in their hand. All right. Double Nyxborn Hydra. They played a Llanowar Elves. Pulled a Forest. Double Sylvan Ranger. Double Winding and Spy. Played the Elves, so this is still... Toxin plus Kark is also good versus Spy. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out... Oh, they played this other Land Grant. They have 6 cards in hand, so why are there a million revealed? 2 lead the Stampedes. Is this not 7 cards? They double Land Grant, so they should have 2 Forests in hand? Am I dumb, or did they revealed 2 Nyxborn Hydras again? Is this... I don't understand. Toxin plus Kark is also good versus Spy. I mean, in the same way that, like, if you're saying in order to prevent a Dread Return, again, you can just do that with Kark. You don't need the Death Touch if you just have 2 or 3 artifacts to sacrifice, which, as early as we were in the game there, or rather, with me missing land drops, obviously having the Death Touch and not having to sacrifice artifacts would have been good. If you're saying for gaining life, we have to gain 20 life before we're going to be able to survive that. So that doesn't seem as relevant to me. I'm just going to play a Wellspring here, try to actually hit land drops this time, and maybe more removal, rather than getting a Fiend down that might not be able to deal much damage at all. Play a Forest. There's a Sylvan Ranger. And there's an Elvish Mystic. See, where did this Elvish Mystic come from? I'm so confused. I don't think... So they have 5 cards in hand. Okay, the Elvish Mystic was their draw for the turn. That makes sense. So there can't be 2 Hydras, I don't think. Is this just bugging? Okay, now feels like a good time to end the festivities. They don't have any other X1s in their hand, unless they're playing a Hydra. And, yeah. So we're going to do that, and then... Glaze Fiend? Hello, Ben. How's it going? I will say the deck list... I've been modifying the deck list after... First League. So the deck list that's there is going to be slightly different than what we're actually playing. We played that for a league, and then we made a more mid-range version. So we took out a lot of the bolts and other like early aggressive cards, and we put in Wellspring, Fanatical Offering for more of a mid-range draw package. Just so you're aware. And I'm trying not to throw against Spy for the 2nd game in a row. Looks fun. Yeah, it's been pretty sweet. I've been enjoying it a lot. I think Luxknight Breacher is the type of card that is just missing a little bit of... Like, it's missing the right deck. It's missing some support that can make it really good, I think. And so we're trying to help find that. All right, they played the Swamp. So these are the 8 cards in hand. They discard a Hydra. So now I don't know if they have a Hydra or not. I'm just going to keep complaining about this. Okay, so I can just play a Refurb. They get to Vandal us next turn, which is kind of annoying. If I just play a refurb, I hold up Fling, that's pretty bad. So I think we're going to draw 3 and hope we can get something better here, like Mere Enforcers or something. I mean, I don't mind 2 more refurbs. However, without black mana, much black mana, this is kind of awkward. We do get a Spell Bomb, which is nice. But if I put that down now, there's no reason to do that because then they could Vandal it. And there's should be no way they can Spy this turn. So I think we just map here, see if we hit like a... Well, we'll play that, I guess, but... I was hoping for like a Vault of Whispers. Attack for 4, and if they want to Masked Vandal this, that's fine, because then we get our Spell Bomb through. Or at least on the field for a little bit. Hopefully that can hold them back. And there's a Sylvan Ranger for a forest. That's land number 4. Now Vandal. Okay, almost happier they did that than the Vault of Whispers, which would be really annoying. I mean, I guess we're playing a refurb and a Spell Bomb. That's about all we got. And just hoping they don't have another Masked Vandal. I guess we also have a Fling, which, if necessary, could be used to pick off like a Ranger to make it so they couldn't Dread Return. That's good to keep in mind. If they have like another Vandal here, yep. But now they're going to have enough creatures that that's not going to work. Well, I was hoping they wouldn't have the second Vandal. But I guess they probably wouldn't have played one if they did not have the second one. There's a Quirion Ranger. Swing for 1. I mean, another Spell Bomb would obviously be great. A Krark would be great. I think those are our best draws. Untap, replay. Now they can Winding Way. Yeah. There's another Vandal. They hit 4 spells there. Yeah, so I think it's like Krark or bust. Cast in the Fire does hit 2 guys. But I don't have enough damage to shoot a Vandal or a Spy. Which means if they go for it, we are going to die. Maybe they'll be too afraid if I have like a Thraben Charm. They'll be worried about a Thraben Charm, maybe? I don't know. I think I just shoot these now so that it don't get the use out of the Quirion. Plus maybe only having exactly 3 creatures on board is going to put them more fearful, because I could also just have a Galvanic Blast. Whereas if they have 5... Even if I did have cast and Galvanic, they wouldn't have been counting on that as much. So like a Spy seems kind of risky now, because any removal spell kills them. Well, looks like they're not that fearful. Unless they're targeting us with this. They are not. Well, I suppose we are dead. We could have flung one of these for 2 damage. If we just had it for 3 damage, 29 creatures is going to do it. Yeah, if this was just a Galvanic Blast, we would have been fine, and in fact won. But we did not do that. Next draw was Luxknight Breacher, which would have been a 10-10. At the very least, it would have been able to be flung and kill one of their guys. Alright. I will say, we're technically playing white. It's a very light splash, but no Thraben Charms makes it quite a bit worse, because they had triple Vandal there, and so Spell Bomb, obviously not as good. Thraben Charm, they can Mesmeric Fiend it, which they usually will bring in, but we didn't see any there. We had plenty of white mana, so Thraben Charm could have been good. It's so good. No, I know. Like, it's 3 great modes. You know, the enchantment mode comes up less often, but like there's makeshifts a lot of places. Obviously against Bogles it's good. But so much graveyard combo, and also just graveyard aggro, tempo, whatever you want to call terror decks. And then also, if you just have like 16 to 20 creatures in your deck, it acts as a cast down a lot of the time. It's very, very good. We'll keep this one. Could use a Wellspring maybe, but not bad. But yeah, I know before Modern Horizons 3, understandably, people were talking about how white does not have good removal, and it still doesn't have the best removal compared to, you know, Lightning Bolt, cast down. I think Journey to Nowhere was the main removal before Thraben Charm, and then that was printed, and I was like, oh, well, this is just a 4-of staple in every mono white deck, and even a lot of like Boros and Orzhov decks, you want like 2 to 3 of them in your deck. Hey, look at this, we're against Black Sack. I might be a little familiar with that deck. We don't have the fastest start, so we might absolutely get crushed by them. I want to make a deck that just has all the cards that everyone hates. Thraben Charm, Weather the Storm, Chrysalis, Refurb. Well, I mean, based on that list, it just sounds like you're playing Jund Wildfire Splash White, which is, you know, probably not a bad idea. Probably not that hard, honestly. With Cleansing Wildfire and all the draw you have, you could probably splash white in there pretty easily. They just attack for 1 and don't cast anything. I mean, that's pretty good for us. I guess we'll just play Glaze Fiend. We don't really have much else to do. They just flooded. I will take a damage. Packdoll Terror. Hell yeah. Alright, I'll play Reverse Familiar. Make him discard a card, see what's going on there. And I think I'll just... Rite of Consumption, sure. Might have 2 of those. I think I'll just swing for 4 and hold up a Fanatical. Block here, assuming they have a reason to, you know, creatures to attack, and then I'll sacrifice it. But 4 lands, not looking great. There's the Shambler. Unless they could be on like Beckoner combo or something, and so they are just, well, there's the Beckoner. Okay, pretty good. I will block the Feeder here. Try not to take a million damage. Only 2 cards left in hand, though. Obviously, if we find a Krark, we're like in business. Do they have a Stamina too? Stamina on the Beckoner. Okay, sure. Very nice. Well, yeah, I guess Stamina on the Beckoner means they transfer that to the Shambler. I mean, we're gonna die for sure if they don't have if we don't find a Krark. We are gonna draw 3 here though, well 2 here, plus our top deck. That is quite the army. What a cool deck. I mean, I thought maybe they just kept a bad hand, but it was pretty good turn 4. We'll draw 2. They're both lands. Oof. Come on, another land. Ooh, okay. I could play a Packdoll Terror and a Great Furnace. We hit for 4. They take 1 off the Packdoll, so they're at 11. Then we have to chump the Feeder with our Packdoll, and we're taking like 11. Or I could just go Fanatical now, try to draw into something. Krark is amazing. Anything else is maybe fine. But if I don't hit, then I have to sacrifice this, and then I have really no way to kill them. 4 Krarks would have to be in that deck too. In this deck? Or, oh, your deck that has all the cards everyone hates. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're doing this and chumping with the Terror, because this lets us hit for 5. They're at 11. And the next turn with the right draws, I can maybe hit them for enough here. They did discard the Rite of Consumption. If they have another one, we're just going to die. And that's, you know, we're going to accept that. But it's possible that they had all of these cards and they wanted to keep them over the right. And so we'll see. Swing with the team. I will block the Feeder, as I believe I would die otherwise. Maybe not, but I'm not going to take the chance. They do sack both of those. Okay. Feels like a Rite of Consumption. They're going even higher than 8, though. Go as high as they can. What if I have Snapback in my Mardu deck? I'll get them. Yeah, okay, yeah. They got us with the Rite of Consumption. Very nice. Here we get End the Festivities, and casts are okay. Don't have the greatest sideboard against Black Sack, but we do have Toxins and Krarks in the main deck, which should help. Fling can help us race, maybe. This is not one where we want to go super card draw heavy. We want to have a lot of interaction. I guess Breacher's a little awkward because of the mana. Just cut a little bit of everything. Why not? I have no idea what our good cards are, so here we'll just throw some cards out. All right, well, we're on the play, which should help a little bit. We took out a Breacher, and naturally we drew both of the ones we have left. So this is nothing until turn 4. I mean, I like our mana, but it just does not do anything. This one looks decent. I guess I have to get rid of an Enforcer, which is really annoying, because otherwise we're only having 4 artifacts, and we might not even be able to get the first Enforcer down, so let's just not be too greedy. Infestation Sage. There's a bridge. Now I wish I had my other Enforcer back. Conviction the Sage right away. Okay. Is this the old one-lander? Try to hope they draw another one? Could be. It didn't even attack. That was a waste of a damage. Come on, guys. And the Festivities, not bad. I think here we're just going to play another Fiend, though. Attack for 4. Next turn, we can pump them both, at least for another 4. Attack for 8. They don't block, so also next turn we can maybe end the Festivities, get rid of their blockers. I guess currently this would give them another one with the Sage, but so be it. They miss another damage, sacking that to a Village Rites without attacking. Then Bloodthrone Vampire. Okay. And the Festivities looking really good. Now they attack for 1, because it's going to wipe these both away. Great Furnace, not great. Not so great Furnace, am I right? Alright, pump these both. Play an Enforcer. And I'm just going to end the Festivities. It's not the most value ever, but it makes it so that it's almost impossible for us to die to this Bloodthrone Vampire. He clears a blocker so we can get in for 8, and it just sets him way back, so I think it seems good here. And if they don't have another way to get a flyer, then maybe we just get in for another at least 4 next turn. They do have another Sage. Okay, fair enough. And a Shambler. They attack. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus 4 would be 8. Would be 16, 17 damage if they have a Stamina here. So it's not lethal. But I could just block and make him use up 2 of these right now. If they have the Stamina, it's not super relevant. But also, like, we could just die next turn. Plus, if we're attacking, they just chump block. Actually, wait. If we attack... I guess they sack this and this to this guy. No, they sack the Shambler and that. If they have the Supernatural Stamina, they use it on the Shambler, they sack that, but then they have a bunch of tapped squirrels, which means that they have to either block this Sage on the Enforcer, and they don't have a blocker for our flyers, or they have to sack it first, and then they have a blocker, and they don't have a block for our Enforcer, which means if we hit an artifact, I might be able to have lethal here. I think we just take it. We're not dead unless they have some like Dark Ritual madness or something. And yeah, it's 1 damage. It's 1 damage. Okay, there we go, yeah. So they certainly have blockers now, but Blood Fountain doesn't make it quite lethal. We have 6 damage on each of these with the Blood Fountain, Double Trigger, and the Great Furnace, which is not lethal, which means I should actually probably just discard this because chances are I'm going to hit another artifact, or I might hit like a Galvanic Blast, which would be lethal. I could hit like one of our 4 drops, which would be bad, but I think it's worth the risk. Wellspring's okay. Actually, if we hit a land off the Wellspring or another Enforcer, that's going to be lethal again. So we have a lot of hits. Now we get the Galvanic Blast. Come on. Okay. Well, we're still not in a bad spot unless they can remove this Enforcer, in which case we're probably dead. But they have to sack this and chump. So then they have 6, 7, 8... Again, they have 17 with a Stamina or a Beckoner. All right, well, we'll pass. It was so close to winning that game with that turn with the 8-power Glaze Fiends. We're blocking the Vampire, that's for sure. Because now we just have to survive. They have the Stamina, which means 6, 7, 8, 17. So if they have a Rite of Consumption, they can put us to 1. If they have a land and any other creature, they can kill us. But they just do that. Rite of Consumption putting them to 18 would be, yeah, they're sacrificing more. That's not a good sign. If they go to 18, it's very unlikely we can kill them, but they also wipe their entire board if they want to do that. And then, you know, we can, unless I'm miscalculating, this does not look like lethal to me. 17. Oh, 17. Oh, because we took a damage from an attacker. Dang. You'd think I would know how to do the math for this deck, but it's hard to be upset when I see my baby thriving. Rite of Consumption, pretty good card, huh? Who knew? Well, we gotta win the next 2 matches if we want a positive record, but I believe in us. Alright, here we are with decent mana Wellsprings. We're not going to get rid of this one, I say as I almost click Mulligan. Looks like more Jund, maybe. Blood Fountain. That's our thing. Melded Moxite. Alright, well, we're going to just play a Wellspring for now. I will say, seeing a Moxite instead of a third Wellspring, not bad here, right? Third Wellspring's fine, but having some variety is definitely nice. They just going for a Fanatical right now? Yeah. Desperate. Alright, there is the bridge, confirming it's Jund. Another Enforcer, so we can have 4 artifacts, 5. No way we can get the Enforcers down this turn. I think we will... We don't really want to discard anything here, so I think we'll just play another Wellspring. Play a bridge, and next turn... Ooh, Glaze Fiend's good. Next turn we can get that down. Opponent said, bought first proper Pauper deck yesterday. Ooh, dragging the wrong thing. And black sack deck list on the way. Hell yeah. Ooh, Refurb's really nice too. Although I guess we can't play that and Glaze Fiend. Glaze Fiend's like 1 turn too late, because I'm not going to not slam a bunch of Enforcers here. So, yeah. Also, then we probably just play Moxite, which means we get rid of Fling. Ugh, yeah, Glaze Fiend's kind of awkward. I could just abandon the Glaze Fiend, go with Refurb, double Enforcer, but that doesn't feel great. I think we will still put it down and star. I mean, we can still play Moxite, Refurb, and potentially like land or whatever else we draw off Moxite next turn. They're gonna Eviscerator's Insight. While we're tapped out, they think we're done casting spells. We have 2 Enforcers. They do have a lot of mana, though, so they could definitely get a Chrysalis. A lot of mana and a lot of cards. Landscape. Yep, there's the Enforcer. That's us. There's the Chris. Big Chris. Is this munitions or no, just a Wildfire? Okay. Well, I can potentially make the Glaze Fiend big enough to get through the Chrysalis, and then I can attack with the Enforcers, and if they sack the spawn, which they probably will, then we can Galvanic it, although that would mean not using both of these or finding an untapped land. I could go for the untapped land. It has to be any color because we have the star. I do kind of want to get this Moxite down this turn. I guess we will. I mean, worst case scenario, Glaze Fiend is still just a 4-power creature, which means we could still just Galvanic Blast no matter what it blocks. I think we're getting greedy, though. Well, no land, but we do have an Enforcer, which we can cast. So anything they block, I can Galvanic it in response with this star. Or I could just play a Refurb and attack for 6, but this way I can attack for 8? No, because they're going to block here, so that doesn't even change the math, really. Okay, in that case, I think we're just going to Refurb first. Take away a card. They have 7, so it's not a big deal. But then we get to attack with the Glaze Fiend. And pass. They go to 14. We have a Galvanic and a Fling, which can be 8 damage at least. So if they just don't put any creatures on the field this turn, then maybe we can just swing with everything and burn them if they just do a lot of card draw and stuff. Lumbus might throw off that math a little bit. Cleansing Wildfire. That's the type of not impacting the board this turn that I kind of want to see. Although if they hit us with like a Refurb or 2, it's going to feel pretty rough. There's the first. I think we just get rid of the Pack Doll, which currently does not do anything. Map onto the Chrysalis. Another Chrysalis on top. Okay. So they have Lembas up. Yeah, not looking great for our attack all plan. We get another Terror. Not what we need. And now we can't Galvanic the Chrysalis. If I attack all, they eat an Enforcer. They trade for a Refurb. They block an Enforcer. They take 6, because I can make an instant speed robot off this Moxite. So this will get pumped. If they block here, I can also just keep it alive that way then. We only lose, like, these. I think it's worth it. Get in for some damage. We're kind of just trying to play the burn deck now. Get in for the damage we can and then finish them off with these guys. Yeah, they go for the blocks that make the most sense, I think. No, unless they want to try to eat the Fiend with my onboard trick. No, okay. If I do that, they could have a cast down or something, but I can't really do anything about that, except for hold up Fling. This way I'm only getting in for 4. Whereas if I get in for 8, and then maybe they tap out without Olympus, we can maybe get there. I think we're just doing this. Trigger and hit him for an extra 2. They are gonna just like Insight here. Yeah, Insight the Blood Fountain. Okay. Interesting choice. I guess they didn't want to get rid of a land. They wanted this to trade, and they didn't want to lose the life gain. But, I mean, Blood Fountain, they now have, I guess, just one refurb in the bin. That's fair. We do know about another Chrysalis on top, but, you know, maybe we can get the burn them out. Although with the spawn, it's going to be tough. I guess we could go for an attack with everybody to try to force them to sack the spawn and use the Lembas, and then in response, we get them for 8. But if they just don't do that, it's kind of not great. They have a Troublemaker, oof. Is this game 1? Yeah, this is game 1. You know, I played Troublemaker Oof main deck at one point, but I just was not expecting that. And that makes things a little bit worse. They attack for 6. Yeah, that took out a block. That blocks and it takes out an attacker. Pretty annoying. I guess another Galvanic is probably one of our best draws. Just an Offering. I mean, so I could Offering here with the Wellspring. Maybe try to draw something. I could just pass, and if they go for Crack the Lembas, which they probably shouldn't, but if they do, then we can win. But I can also just hold up Fanatical Offering. I think we just pass. Not just because maybe we win if they sack it when they probably shouldn't. But we don't really need to do anything else. Getting more creatures down is probably not going to be super relevant. They do crack it. Alright, well, we're going to go for it. We're going to try to Galvanic them. 2 mana, no green. Means no Pulse Ross or anything. So we're going to Galvanic and Fling. Alright. That game was getting away from us, and we were able to take it down there. Cast and Duress, of course, are going to be very good here. And I haven't seen any Gixian Infiltrators. Since that's been a version going around, I don't know if I should keep Corks in for that reason. Corks are obviously not terrible against Chrysalis with Toxin either. Without Toxin, they're not great. The life gain is not great here, but the Death Touch is nice. Breacher is just never getting through, probably. They have a lot of removal, and they have a lot of blockers with Chrysalis, so this might just be one where we cut it entirely. In the other version that I was playing, I had some Wedding Invitations. That, I think, was maybe still okay to keep the Breachers in. But with this one without him, it's pretty much Fling or nothing. I guess until we see Gixian, I think these are our worst cards. Everything else is like good card draw or like win cons, so I think we'll do that. If we see the Infiltrator and we have a game 3, maybe we'll bring him back. All right, is this a hand of the week? This is pretty beautiful here. Well, if we knew we had any black source on top, we'd keep that one. I guess probably just we don't need the star since we have the mana. Another Galvanic. Well, we're going to hope we don't get cast into the fire. Or oofed. There was an oof main deck. Probably means there's more in the sideboard. But another Blood Fountain coming down. And then Twisted Landscape. That means no Cleansing Wildfire. Otherwise, they almost assuredly would have done that. I mean, this is a lot of Galvanic Blasts. But I suppose it's trying to tell us to go for the burn win. Oh, and they're discarding with their blood? I feel like maybe they went landscape to get forest so they can oof here real early. But looks like not, and nothing on turn 3 actually. Okay. I'm going to play Wellspring. They're going to respond. Pulse Marasa their landscape. Okay. Well, that does not help us with the burn plan. But generally I'm okay with them spending 3 mana to buy back a land. They have a Wellspring as well. Spring. Play the landscape. Duress. I kind of want to get down Terror, but they haven't really been doing anything. They could just have card draw here now that they have a Wellspring down. They could just have a bunch of removal spells, in which case we want to wait on Terror. We have nothing else to play, though. Terror's not I mean, it's a good win con. I don't know. We'll just play the Terror. I don't want to waste all our mana here when we're not even going to probably be using these Galvanic Blasts and things like that. In response, they're going to draw 3. In case they find Force of Despair, play a Bridge and Galvanic. Yeah. Terror down. Galvanic Blasts generally haven't been played in Wildfire in a while, except in the new Gixian Infiltrator version. So I'm assuming that's probably what they are on. Now I will duress them, though, and we will find out what's going on. Crack a Landscape in response, and draw 2. Yeah. All right, 7 cards. What do they got? Hydra, Chrysalis, another Pulse, Cleansing Wildfire, and Cast Down. Well, Chrysalis I can kill at some point, which means they can just bring it back with a Blood Fountain or a Pulse of Marasa. None of these feel like incredible. I guess the Pulse of Marasa? Or the Cast Down? Because I can play an Enforcer, but then they just play a Chrysalis, so what does it matter? But I guess we need to have creatures eventually. So we'll do that, and we'll pass. Although the Pulse is not helping, the second Pulse is not helping our Galvanic Blast plan. I will say, in the lists that I've seen, Gixian Infiltrator has mostly been a replacement for Pulse of Marasa and Nyxborn Hydra, and they clearly have those. So I'm going to guess they don't have them in their deck. They have a Refurb. Well, that's annoying. I will get rid of one of these. All right, we need like a Fanatical Offering into some more card draw. Land is not great. Probably should have kept that for another Refurb. They're just going to play a Hydra on Chrysalis. They're going to use spawns for it, but they have to do them first if they want to do them one at a time. So they're going to do that. And then they're going to sack the second one, and I'm going to Galvanic it. Unless they do just one. Okay, I guess I should have responded to the first one then. How was I to know? That was very smart of them. I suppose. Not I suppose. It was, but I got, and I don't love that. I mean, this one's pretty dead, pretty gone either way. If we get a Fanatical or any draw spell here, I'll keep it going. But if we get like another land, we're out, I think. Map onto the familiar with a Troublemaker Roof on top. Even worse. Alright. Just a bridge. Let's see if we can pull out game 3 here. I mean, with 2 Pulse of Marasas, maybe we do want Spellbomb here. Like, 2 Pulses and Blood Fountains. And Galvanic's not looking amazing. Like, I mean, I should have just probably shot the Chrysalis after the first one there. That's definitely a mistake on my part. And also, you know, drawing 3 of them just doesn't look great. But they don't kill a lot of what we want. I don't know. It feels crazy to take them out, though. Oh, I guess we took out the Breachers, didn't we? So let's just take out the Stars, since we don't need white mana. I think that's a pretty easy swap. Another 1-lander. We have 19 lands. That's not a ton. It's not crazy low either, I don't think. All right. What are we getting rid of? Enforcer's really expensive here. 1, 2. So is Pactol. Which one of these is going to be cheaper? Although Galvanic, what does Galvanic do for us? I think we'll get rid of the Galvanic. Maybe get a little greedy. Opponent mulligans as well. And here's the question. Do I just cast into the Fire of the Bridge? Or do we get really greedy and try to get him with a Cleansing Wildfire as well? Like, catch him with a Cleansing Wildfire? But then if they play like an Ichor Wellspring or anything like that, it's going to be silly. Let's get greedy. Why not? It's going to be so good if we do get them with the Wildfire. And they'll never expect it. Because they'll have thought that we would have used it on our turn. Look at this. Look at this beautiful 2-for-1. Gorgeous. And now they tapped their landscape and haven't cracked it, so that's pretty cool. Mind blown. Alright, they have a Lembas, you know. It's not the worst thing ever, I guess. They're still doing fine. Scry to the bottom. Great Furnace, so I can play that, get down Terror. Or I can get down a 2-mana Enforcer, which means I also get to Offering this turn. Although that's more artifact triggers that I could get off a Terror. Yeah, let's just... I also want to duress them at some point, but for now I think we're going to Terror. This is actually more aggressive, I think, because we won't be wasting triggers off of the Offering or the Enforcer. They play a Wellspring and miss their land drop. Oh, and we find another Packdoll, which I'm definitely going to slam, not just because it doubles up on these, but it also still lets us get our Enforcer down. And now we get to attack for 3. Ooh, it's finally working. Packdoll was looking not great in this deck, and still might be, but this hand is going pretty well. And they concede. I mean, Cleansing Wildfire, casting the fire on a Wildfire. I mean, I was just trying to put it in fire as well, right? That was brutal. All right, one more match to go, and got it right away. This hand looks pretty reasonable. We're gonna keep it. Turn 2, Glaze Fiend on the play, followed by a Blood Fountain and Enforcer in the same turn. Then we have a Breacher for later. This one looks good. They're on something black. Ooh, Moxite's not bad either with the Glaze Fiend. Let me tap properly for this. Why, shall we? On stream, you get to hear me fidget around and shift my body position every 3 minutes, which I generally cut out of all my edited videos. Oh, they defile the Glaze Fiend. Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, Gardens has been coming back, hasn't it? Trespasser's Curse main deck? That's interesting. I can live with that, I think. Well, yeah. Getting that killed was really unfortunate. I think we just pressure their life total, but also their removal here. If they remove this with like a cast down or a snuff out, maybe we can get a Breacher through that survives. I was really looking forward to that Glaze Fiend hitting for 8 here, though. And I think there are definitely matches where a Curse main deck is going to be incredible. And they're probably playing it because it's good against Red Rally and like other burn decks, I guess. I think against us, it's not going to be worth the full card, probably. I think it's going to gain him 3 or 4 life probably the whole game. Oubliette. Oh, okay. Well, that's annoying. In that case, I guess not Gardens, just mono black control. And that makes sense why they have the Curse, because that's Devotion to sit on the field. Well, Oubliette's basically just full removal, but we're going to have to look at this guy anyway. I still can play a Breacher as a 8/8, which I probably will, unless we get another good 2-drop here. Oh, and every time I hover over this is going to happen. Yeah, just a Vault of Whispers. I'm happy to discard. I could make this slightly bigger with, like, you know, play a Moxite first or whatever, but 8/8's plenty big, and the sooner I get it out, the less likely it is that they will find more removal. They could absolutely just have 4 more removal spells in hand, but I can't really do anything about that. And ideally, the rest of their removal will be actual kill spells, so I can at least get them back with a Blood Fountain. Oubliette, definitely annoying me here. Chittering Rats, okay, also annoying. Put that back on top. And yeah, I guess just Moxite it away. They can chump block here. That's not the end of the world for us if they do want to do that. I guess a couple refurbs would be pretty good here. Take away most of their cards. They are really holding priority on every single choice, every single little action that happens. right, we will discard this vault. We find another land and a star. Well, let's go to combat. I think we don't really need a fourth land, or fifth land, rather. They're going to chump. So I think we will ditch this to the blood token. We got to land anyway. Well, that's fine. I think I will play it. If I have one more Moxite in the deck. If I draw that, it's going to be worse to have played it. But anything else, a Wellspring or card draw, it's going to be nice to have it down. Plus, if we Blood Fountain stuff back, we'll want it. So, Kumbaj Witches is another blocker, otherwise not super relevant. I mean, it can ping off Glaze, Fiend, and Refurb, so good to know about. I'll probably just cycle this star here if we draw nothing. Galvanic Blast is good. I will just take out the Witch, so I can get in for 8. And then in that case, I'm not going to cycle the star yet, I don't think, because I can just... If they end up killing this, I can Blood Fountain them both back. If they don't, I can just sack the Moxite to make a 2/2. I mean, I can do the star with any of those, because the star doesn't... it repays the mana that you use, but... Which I guess makes it probably better to just use whenever, since we don't need the mana fixing at this point. It is a better artifact to just have on the field for another Breacher, though. Yeah, and if they're just taking it, we're going to pass here. I don't want to tap out of the Blood Fountain in case they do cast a removal spell on the Breacher. Oh, also, actually, not having a card in hand is good against a Chittering Rats. So if they have another one of those, I'd rather not have a card in hand. They do bring it back on top of their deck, so that's good to know about. And they have a Thorn of the Black Rose. Okay. Well, I can make a 2/2 here, so we can take the initiative, or the Monarch regardless, assuming they don't have a removal spell. They could have a Defile, which can't kill the Breacher. I guess we will sack this now. Again, we don't really need the mana. And we'll just draw a card to see if we find like a Galvanic or something to take out the Thorn. A bridge, so be it. And then we'll sack this, which does trigger the curse. They have a Chittering Rats and one Unknown in hand. We get another bridge. Well, I guess we're going to attack with both. If they want to eat this, then they have to take 8 and I get a draw. The fact that we drew 2 lands is pretty annoying, seeing as they're about to play a Chittering Rats. Again, that's why I was not trying to draw with the star. I guess if I drew last turn, I could have played a land then, and I could play a land here, but whatever. I could also draw another land off the top. But yeah, if they want to trade here, then I can Blood Fountain these 2 back and still take the initiative, or the Monarch. I keep saying that. So this is actually better, unless they have another Thorn, because now they can't take the Monarch back, right? Well, I'll play this, and I can buy back those 2 creatures. We get another Glaze Fiend. Yeah, I think for that to make any sense, they have to have another Thorn. Phyrexian Rager. Or they have to, maybe they were worried about the burn. Like, I am playing Fling, right? I could have just flung if they had taken it, assuming I had one. Oh, they're going to pass. No Chittering Rats. Okay. I'm going to do this. Maybe they have like a Crypt Incursion main deck? Okay, no. Probably just removal then. Toxin Analysis. I mean, that's just a combat trick for the Glaze Fiends, I suppose. Play this. We are draining, you know, we're triggering this more than 4 times, I will admit here. But I'll play out the Breacher again. Now it's even bigger. And I think I'm not going to attack, because if they have a removal spell for this, then I'd have to chump with the Glaze Fiend. And right now I have the Monarch, so I'm kind of just winning until they take that back. And now that I have the Monarch, Chittering Rats is fine. It's a 2/2 that makes me, you know, redraw one of our cards. But now that we actually have cards that are relevant, it's not as big of a deal to me. Oh, they have Extract Confession. Very nice. That takes care of the Breacher. I mean, basically just a cast down, but same thing. Ooh, and they do have a Gary. Hits us down to 9. Okay. I can trade here, still keep the Monarch. But they're at 20. They have a Chittering Rats in hand. We have a Toxin Analysis, though, with the ability to make this at least 6 power, so we can gain a lot of life here. Wellspring. Well, we'll lead on that. I guess Galvanic for the Gary would probably be one of our best draws, so that we can ensure we don't lose the Monarch. But all they have in hand is a Chittering Rats. I'm not super worried at the moment. I guess if we can... I don't think we have enough mana, but if we could theoretically pump this to 10 damage, then just getting a Fling would be good. Okay, Breacher. I could play Breacher, which is enormous, and then I could hold that Toxin up for that. Or I could just Toxin now. I could play a Moxite, discard the Breacher. That seems probably not great. I think when life hands you, what is this going to be, like a 13-13 or something? You play it. 11-11. Oh, I overestimated wildly. All right, I'm not going to attack. It's only 2 damage, and if they find a cast down or something for this, I'd like to have it have a blocker. Although if they do, then I'm going to have to... They sign and blood themselves. Then I'm going to have to go on the Glaze Fiend to gain life, so maybe I still won't block. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Although if they kill the Breacher and attack with the Gary, I can actually Toxin the Glaze Fiend to get a 2-3 and block an Ether guy, which isn't terrible. All right, they play a land, so Chittering Rats and 1 other card. They are going to swing. They have 8 swamps, so even if I block, a Defile is not going to kill this. So maybe they have their own Toxin analysis? I'm kind of fine with that. If they do that, I'll still just gain 11 off of it. Defile, okay. But did they count? Because this doesn't make it lethal. This is a 3-3. They're just going to bounce off each other. And then they have a Chittering Rat, so I know they can't have anything else. And they don't even play it. All right. Well, in that case, let's play a Moxite. We can probably get lethal here. Oh, we can definitely get lethal. We only have to hit him for 8 with this guy. Here's a bridge, although they gain life off of the creatures we play, so that's good to keep in mind. We'll just crack this star right away for a card draw. Refurb, that'll take a card from their hand. Does drain us for a little bit. Glaze Fiend, and that's 21 exactly, so I don't even need to Toxin. Boom, Exaxes with a 10-11 Glaze Fiend and 11-11 Luxknight Breacher. Pretty sick. All right, mono black, control. Duress seems good because they have a lot of removal. And Spellbomb does not seem necessary for their like Witch's Cottage or Extracted Confession. Like neither of those I'm super concerned with. Toxin seems good. They do have a lot of drain, so having a way to gain some life could be pretty relevant. Krark, they have Chittering Rats, Gary, Kumbaj Witches, Phyrexian Rager. I don't think Krark is like mandatory, but it doesn't seem bad either, especially if we're keeping the Toxins in. Packdoll's good. Everything's good, though, is the problem. Like Fling at the end there would have been pretty nice. Kind of liked Moxite. But I guess with their Trespasser's Curse, they might take those out, though. It did do a lot, but I don't know if it's amazing. To be honest, I am liking the Moxite a little bit better. It's nice when you just have... better than I thought I would. It's nice when you just have a land and it's like, oh, this is a draw 2 instead of a Wellspring, where it's like, well, I have to find the Fanatical. Seeing as we only have, I guess, 3 Fanatical and 2 Krarks to sacrifice them, it's kind of nice to have. But Glaze Fiend dies pretty easily to all their stuff. Kumbaj Witches even, so I think we'll cut like one of those. We're not going to fully go off of them, but I think relying a little bit less on them is not a bad idea. All right, this hand looks reasonable. Mulligan to 6 for them. We have a Galv Blast. We'll probably save this for the Witches, because otherwise their guys are all ETBs. I mean, if I can catch a Gary on the ETB, that's not a bad thing, because it can be a 2-life swing, or 4-life swing total. But good news for us is they should not have any artifact hate in mono black unless they've brought in Divests, which would be only artifacts from hand. Of course, Duress will take our other artifacts, but I'm saying like lands and things like that. Cycle a Troll for Swamp and Campfire. Okay, I think that's fair. I'll just get down a Refurb here, I think. Nice to have it down before the Witches come out. And, you know, if they defile it or whatever, then that's fine. But if not, I can hit for a little bit of damage, offset this Campfire for a couple of turns. Discard a Chittering Rats. And there is the Witch, which is multiple, I suppose. Fanatical Offering. Ooh, well, they missed a land drop, which is nice. They can't use the Campfire. More like a can't fire, am I right? I want to get greedy and like Wellspring into an untapped land here, but I think I just like to keep my Familiar around, so we'll kill this, and we can still get a star down, so it's not a big deal. But while they're missing land drops, the pressure is pretty good. Oh, and they just concede. Well, a little anticlimactic there, but we were able to take the 3-2, so positive record's always nice with a brew. And so I believe we were 2-3 for the first one, so 5-5, you know, not terrible. I think I think there might be something here. I do think you probably have better mana and like better things if you just go Rakdos. The thing is, Rakdos Glaze Fiend has been a deck that people have tried before, and obviously it has never really stuck around. That doesn't mean it's bad or you can't play it at all, but it doesn't seem amazing. And so I think Luxknight Breacher adds some interesting stuff to this list. The fact that you, in general, like if I'm playing Fling or something, I don't want to have fewer than like, well, I was gonna say eight cards that I really want to fling, although we ended up cutting a Breacher in this list, so now we're at 7. But Glaze Fiend is not always one you want to fling, but it can be. I don't think we ever actually flung it, because it is tough, right? You have to spend mana to get it bigger by casting spells, and then do you have the mana for fling? Sometimes, but not always. We did get absolutely several games won off of Glaze Fiends hitting in for like 8. We just didn't actually fling it. We did fling the Breacher a couple of times, which was pretty sweet. And even like an Enforcer or a Krark Clan Shaman, embarrassingly, add a couple creatures. Of course, 11 tap lands is pretty rough. We could put in some Ancient Dens, or Darksteel Citadels, but probably not those. Or we could put in some basics. But since white was such a remote splash, I didn't really want the white untapped lands because we have a lot of black and red 1-drops, but I did want to have all artifact lands for the Glaze Fiends, so that's a little bit tough, as I mentioned a couple of times. Glaze Fiend wants you to play artifacts after you've played it, and then Luxknight Breacher and Mirror Enforcer and Refurbished Familiar want you to play artifacts before you play it. Terror is also in the Glaze Fiend group of wanting to play them after, so it's just kind of awkward, like, unless you draw Glaze Fiend on 2, or have it on turn 2, and then you have the Breacher on 4, or unless you have them all in the right order, it can be a little awkward, because if we don't have a Glaze Fiend in our hand, we play out all of our artifacts to make Breacher and Enforcer good, then we top deck a Glaze Fiend and it looks really bad. Top deck a Pact Altair, it's not bad because the body's decent and it still triggers itself. Moxite was decent. I think it probably still would be inferior to another Wellspring and another Fanatical Offering, but I do like the card a lot and would love to see a list better for it. Star is kind of just, I think, a necessity if you're running the splash. Otherwise we could just cut them and turn them into maybe these Moxites and stuff like that. Krark is of course pretty good. Galvanics and Refurb got to be in every affinity deck ever. I don't know, I think that's my report. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it for sure. I am going to hop off now. I got my local Pauper event tonight, just a couple hours, so I got to get some food and get ready for that. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure to check the channel on Sunday, because there's going to be a new Black Sack video. This is one I recorded a couple weeks ago. I believe I'm playing, not that I believe, I know that I'm playing Perigee Beckoner combo, so if you want to see me play that, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.